Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID?
Well, that is not what we say to the public. No, don't tell anyone this. You probably shouldn't tell you. Probably shouldn't tell anyone. Okay? We're exploring, like, now, you know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is, like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we can create undeveloped develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're going to do that, though, there's a risk of, like, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating viruses. You have to be, like, very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something that, like, you know, goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
Is the way that the virus started and moving on. To be honest, like, it makes no sense if this virus popped out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, I know.
Meet Jordan Tristan Walker, a director of research and development strategic operations and mRNA scientific planning at Pfizer.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 14th year in broadcast excellence. Now, in our 15th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. We have good news, bad news, and startling news, starting with a huge balloon hovering over Montana, 3 buses worth, and no one detected it flying over from China? I don't know how they know it's from China. It must have been the Chinese lettering on the balloon or something. The Biden administration reaction, crickets. The bad news is we find one of the largest pharma companies in the world, top executives at Pfizer, took to the Wuhan lab gain of function debacle to create a cash cow in vaccines. Problems are they don't work, and they can be fatal. Contractor Jordan Walker revealed to Project Veritas that their plan includes more diseases be produced under a different name than the function one, which their plan includes more diseases be produced by a different name so they can have a head start on the vaccines. Create a disease. We got the vaccines for them. It keeps that cash flow feeding. Claiming it needs to be hidden lest America finds out. America? How about the whole world? He just ceded legitimacy to the Died Suddenly documentary and the VAERS reports from the CDC, along with a Harvard report that concludes we've already had 1.6 million deaths attributable to the vaccines and many more infected with heart, brain, liver, kidney, the nervous system, and others. The good news is now we know that left on their own, we may be facing a startling $6 billion or 6 billion such casualties if this grows this way and they bring back the mandates. You want some good news? Kevin McCarthy and his slight GOP advantage in the House has just kicked off Adam Schiff AOL, Ilhan, and the rest of the squids out of their committees, as well as China horror lover Swalwell. But I'll tell you, that squad or squid, whatever you want to call them, boy, they can squawk. Oh, man, are they mad. They want their right to tell you how bad Jews are and how horrible Israel is and how they want Israel wiped off the face of the earth. Boy, I guess that's America for you, right? Well, Jim Jordan also is ready to take on our southern border. First step is to impeach Mayorta. Our DOJ, FBI, CIA, make them confess up or be defunded. And the admission that Hunter Biden's laptop is legit from who? His lawyer. And now that lawyer has put himself in jeopardy because he may need to testify not only in court, he seems to be suing somebody, but also in Congress, since this seems to involve the use of classified Biden docs from the time he was in the Senate to testify about the demands that Hunter Biden has been making from foreign countries if he releases some of these classified documents information. Now, I call that a pretty good start. The main thing is prioritizing is going to be critical. And because we have this disparity in all the news we're getting, we're going to have Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim come on at 9:15 just to tell us how we should react to stuff like this. I find it at once very disappointing. Like I say, I am a little bit paranoid. But also the news is, once you know the truth, once you know it's no longer a question about the Wuhan lab and about the vaccines causing problems, then you can create some sort of way to fight back, and or, in the case of the vaccines, maybe create some kind of a vaccine for the vaccines. Maybe we can stop this. Maybe we can get rid of this and the people it's been infecting, some of whom die suddenly. Hi there, welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm your radio talk show host, podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call it. And my lovely bride is sitting next to me, making her little noise as she comes in. Gee, thanks a lot, honey.
I thought the volume was off. I really did.
God. Okay, that's okay. No, it should be a test to me at this point in my career, 15 years in doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, I started this at age 60, for goodness sakes.
Are you used to the Are you used to the interruptions yet?
Apparently not. Apparently I still am partially human and subject to the frailties of us human beings. And also J.P. Maxwell, the producer.
Good morning, everybody.
As well as our producer at home, Rick Henderson, Rick Iron Man Henderson, who keeps getting operated on. He's going to be the $6 million man pretty soon. Oh, well, inflation would probably be the $10 million man. Him and the eggs, you know. Thank you for being a good egg, Rick. Okay, and I see something on our... Oh, there's something from Israel right there. Let us play his song.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird. A holy man with a tude. Baker of challah bread for the Sabbath, travels the world uniting Christians and Jews and Muslims, and the official rabbi of the Dade Weinbaum Show and Missouri. Please welcome all the way from Ephrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. How you like that holy man? Do you like that description?
You're just getting better and better each week in those intros, Dave.
Well, we've been doing this for, 13 years or so? So
yeah,
I think
Baker of challahs. That's a
Baker of challah. What's wrong with that?
No, nothing.
That makes you one with the people.
Today. What's that?
That makes you one with the people.
Yeah. I baked some really nice challahs today.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so you do it. I mean, that keeps you your unmitigating successes. It keeps you sort of like human. So I keep seeing pending civil war in Jerusalem post. Is that for real? Who's saying this?
No, you know what? It's so funny how when you read things and then you wonder if you're in the same country as some of these reporters. I don't know where they're getting it from. I was in Jerusalem this week. I stayed over for a night. I was there. It's 20 minutes from here. We're there all the time. I mean, there's not that feeling at all in the country. Quite the opposite, And,
you just got a new government. It seems to be the majority government. So you would think that it's not broken like it's been for the last 4 or 5 years. And so now you're hearing about all of a sudden there's going to be a civil war?
Right. Think about the liberal media in the United States. We have the same thing here. You have rags like Haaretz and so on and so forth that are just trying to gaslight and and they don't represent the people, the majority of the people. It's really incredible.
So the Knesset is about to pass a law stripping terrorists of their Israeli citizenship. The theory is when the Palestinian terrorists pay for killing Jews as soldiers of the PA, they will not be allowed to live in Israel. Kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. This is a law that should have been passed years ago. Not only that, we need to have the death penalty for terrorism.
Yeah.
A guy, last weekend, someone killed 7-8 people on a Sabbath, coming from the synagogue.
That's in Israel, right?
Yeah, that's right here, in Jerusalem. And not put someone like that to death and let them sit on the taxpayer dollar in jail. Yeah, just this week there was a terrorist sentenced to life plus 20. He raped and murdered a girl in the Jerusalem forest. And these are not crimes of passion. These are crimes of politics. These are motivated against the state of Israel. And, they should certainly lose citizenship. They should lose their lives. But at the very least, if you're committing an act of terror against a state, you should not be a citizen of that state.
Is Soros somehow giving money to Israeli district attorneys to pay him off to give light sentences for terrorists?
Yeah, well, look, he's trying to, influence politics worldwide. The one world community.
Exactly.
He's got to be 90 years old now?
He's over 90, yes.
I'd say I'm looking forward to the day where we don't have to talk to him about him anymore.
Well, you know what? He's there, and he's still contributing, and he's doing this to the United States. He's buying off all the DAs in the United States. He's a hell of a Jewish guy, isn't he? What'd you say?
He's what we call a gyno, Jew in name only, and that's it. You have a lot of also, of all faiths. You have people say they're Christians, and then their values are anti-Christian.
I heard he was a Hebrew, Chinese. He's a Kung Jew. Where'd I get that from?
What was
that? What was that?
Yeah.
You can't find a. Yeah, he's looking for the damn cricket list and the cricket button.
No, I just laughed so hard that I couldn't see the pad.
Oh, okay.
So.
Lately I've been feeling a little simcha. What does that mean?
Simcha means joy, but it's
Joy.
not a fake joy. It's a true, a true peaceful joy that can even be felt.
Why would you say that was a
don't-
fake joy? I'm talking to you. You're in Israel. I'm in the United States. I'm joyful about that, actually. I'm joyful to be able to talk to you, my friend, and get all the latest news in the Middle East. So why would you say that's fake?
No. I say there's a type of joy that is fake. Simcha is not it. The kind of joy that's fake is when, people are just losing themselves and, and getting drunk and partying and so they lose themselves. Simcha is a joy when you find yourself. And it leads us, we can even appreciate things that are difficult in life and have joy in those.
Yeah. You can find yourself and still get drunk and ridiculous, can't you?
Yeah. There is a place for, a type of joy where you're trying to just forget about everything, but that's not a life ultimate. That's not true simcha. That's a different kind.
I mean, Jews drink.
Yeah, we do. Look at the Fiddler on the Roof.
That's what I was just thinking about. Where they have that meeting with the Russians, and they're all drinking vodka, and they're all getting drunk, and it's sort of a friendly, kind of a friendly thing.
Far away
Far
from
us. Yes, exactly. That's beautiful. So is it possible to think of God every minute or just feel connected? I mean, I don't understand. You can't possibly. I mean, the whole thing of God is always there. But
I'll explain it.
Yeah, how do you explain that?
Let me explain it in a very simple way. There's two types of awareness. One is like, okay, I'm aware of the three of you, and you're aware of me because we're right in front of each other on a camera.
Let's put it this way: we're wary of you.
However, when I'm not in front of you, right, you can still be in what's called a latent consciousness, meaning like your kids. Your kids are not in front of you at every minute, but they're always there in the back of your mind.
Right.
You're still aware of them, and it makes it. They always make a difference to you, and you're always in love with them, even though they're not necessarily right in front of you.
Right.
So that's two types of awareness. So the awareness of God, sometimes it's front and center. It's like right in front of you. Maybe you're praying, maybe whatever it is. But the rest of your life, as you're going through your day-to-day activities, God is still there, but it's what we call a latent awareness, where he's there, but not necessarily you feel it like front and center, like right now. I know you think about me all day, Dave, even though I'm not.
Well, no. I think about God all day, not you. I'm sorry, you're a holy man, but you're not there yet. Give me a break.
I am the second most powerful man in Israel.
Well, second most. When you're the most powerful in Israel, call me. Just don't call me collect, okay? Secretary of State Blinken lecturing Israel on democracy. It seems to me like maybe someone should teach him about democracy and the fact that we have a republic in the United States and that they are not doing a good job running any sort of government they shouldn't be running any government anywhere based on their results.
Right. That's the old, what's it called? The pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
It's like a little ironic. A foreigner who's not a citizen of this country telling us to run a democracy. A democracy would mean we tell you, Mr. Blinken, to shut your trap because you're not a voter here. Yeah. And when he tries to attack, Israel trying to rebalance our Supreme Court and our Knesset, which is a fantastic law that they're trying to pass now, tell him he should not be involved in that.
They think they hold everything over you. In other words, you do a lot of business with the United States. They help you with your armaments. They help you, but you also spend a lot of money, a lot of that money, in the USA, buying stuff from the USA.
About 80% of that money has to be spent. I met a Christian fellow here many years ago. I'm still in touch with him. He's from Texas, and he builds things for the Israeli military here. and it's an American company, and there's the U.S. dollars given to the U.S. government, but then it's spent on American companies.
Right,
and,
right.
Great beneficiary of that.
I wonder if any other country is even remotely close to that.
I don't know. I mean, other countries receive money, but I don't know if they have that requirement to spend 70 or 80% of it in the United States.
Yeah. So, by the way, there's a new wokeness. Mummy, the word mummy, undermines ancient tyrants who enslaved the Jews. You can't use the word mummy anymore because you're going to affect the reputation of ancient tyrants. Just remember that. I don't want you to walk, you can't come to my house and say the word mummy. Mommy, maybe, but not mummy. Okay, no, that's completely out of line. So what about this drone attack on Iran? That sounds to me like a little bit of an invasion.
Yeah, look, Israel has always had a policy whenever we, unless we're openly at war, but whenever we launch attacks against Syria or any of our other enemies or Iran, we don't talk about it. Just plausible deniability, and Israel doesn't talk about it. So, sometimes when they say if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. So, Israel doesn't talk about it, but obviously it's sort of that wink that people know that Israel's defending itself, but isn't going to openly say it because we don't, it's bad enough that not bad enough. I'm saying we attack them this way, but we don't want to provoke them any more than attacking them.
I would think that would be a pretty big provocation.
It is a big provocation, but then you don't want to go public,
right.
And have this bravado that they'll need to respond.
Yeah.
If Israel denies it and it's, they can, it's less in your face.
Sudan finalizes its agreement for the Abraham Accords with Israel.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
Amazing.
And on that note, what is the Ben and Jerry scoop of the day? Do you have one?
Well, I'll tell you two things, which was this
All right.
week, and I don't know if it made the news here. Chad, which is an Arab country, opened up their embassy in Jerusalem.
Oh, yeah?
Which was incredible. Yeah, that was huge.
Are they part of the Abraham Accords?
No, they aren't. But Israel has not had diplomatic ties with them for over 2 decades, and
Great.
It's been renewed to the extent that they opened an embassy. Benjamin Netanyahu was on CNN this week. I don't know if you saw.
No.
But if it's okay, I wanted to read a quote from him.
Yes.
From when he was interviewed. They asked him about the Palestinians, and that Biden had said that his government is closing off the path to peace with the Palestinians. So here's what Netanyahu said. He said, for 25 years, the Palestinians who don't want peace with Israel, who want to see a peace without Israel, who don't want a state next to Israel, but a state instead of Israel, they had an effective veto on Israel's expansion of the circle of peace around it. I went around them. I went directly to the Arab states and forged a new concept of peace for peace through strength. I forged 4 historic peace agreements in the Abraham Accords, which is twice the number of peace agreements that all my predecessors in 70 years got combined.
Now, did he happen to mention that Donald Trump was also involved in this?
Well, he didn't mention that, but it wasn't really relevant there. What was relevant here is that you have the CNN, this left-wing media, stumping for Biden and saying that, Israel's somehow the obstacle to peace.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, you know what? We have twice as many peace agreements with our right-wing government than the last 70 years. So shut your mouth, he was basically saying.
Yeah. And he well should say that. Now, the Squids got crushed. The Squad, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not the Squids. How did I say that? What's wrong with me? Oh, my gosh. They could blame me for being anti-fish. Okay, so anyways, the Squids got kicked off of their committees, or some of them did, especially Ilhan off the foreign affairs, when she's saying all these anti-Semitic things, but she didn't know, Rabbi. She didn't know that,
Right.
the Jews are, taking those $1 billion, and she didn't know about those planes, what they were doing flying on 9/11. She didn't know any of that. I mean, why are we doing this to these poor women?
Yeah, that's what is Steve Martin. Steve Martin, the famous comedian, said that all you need to know is 3 words and get you out of everything in life. I didn't know. I didn't know mass murder was illegal.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute?
Go to our website, as you see on the screen, IsraelAlliance.org or Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. And don't forget, February 19th,
Yes.
City of Life. Oh, there you go. City of Life and Light.
There you go.
3 p.m. I'd love to see you guys. I have a very exciting talk I'm going to be delivering that day. We hope everyone can make it.
I'll be there. Now, where do people judge? Now, you keep kosher, right?
I do.
So let's say we're in Israel, do people judge others' eating habits?
In good question. I don't know.
In the food courts?
I
really like that one. There you go. All right, thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom. Hi to Yonit and the kids. Okay.
If they don't get the right judgment, then they go to the Burger King.
I don't think. I wasn't going to say this because I hate to be cruel, but Burger King just they said they're going bankrupt.
Yeah. Well, they actually are being sued in Israel this week. There was a Burger King branch that was kosher, and then it became non-kosher, and they didn't take the sign down. And a religious fellow went in there and ate a cheeseburger by accident. So they're suing Burger King now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I've never heard of that being sued.
There's a scoop for the day. How do you like that?
That's a scoop for a day. All right. Well, you made me say that about Burger King, so I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. It wasn't my notes, though. All right, thank you, and have a great Sabbath. And I'm sure that bread is going to be extra crunchy.
Sure will. All right, take care, everyone.
Yeah, you too. All right, so that's a good kickoff right there. And I forgot to tell you about all the other people. I always forget about this stuff. I don't know why. But the other people we got coming up are, Dr. Amy. She'll be on at 9:15, and I think it's a good time to have her too, because there's so much news every week. I've never, except for the holidays, when all the news tightens up. I follow the news a lot, and they're just doing old stories during the holidays, and you got everyone's on vacation, and nobody's got new stuff because they can't get good guests on. I had trouble finding guests for a while, but now no problem. I get people calling me. I got this gal in New York, Joanna Lieb, and she's given me people like you can't believe. And I don't know where she comes from or how she did this, but she's feeding me some really good names, and I've had a couple of them on already. Anyhow, my wife is accusing her of being my girlfriend, and I don't understand that, because what I will say is what?
Bad husband.
I was looking for something,
Bad
and it
husband.
fell off the chair.
Carrying on with that woman from New York. Shame on you.
Carrying on? What do you mean carrying on?
Shame on you. What are you doing over there?
I don't know. I had something under my hat, and now it's no longer there.
Oh, well, keep it under your hat then.
It was a good joke. All right. Well, let's have some fun here, and because Biden does have a speech coming up, and I got insight on not only the speech but the actual speechwriter of that speech. So let's hit it with the speechwriter, and then we got the actual practice of Joe Biden doing the speech, and a little concrete advice, a little criticism afterwards. Hit it.
It was good like that. What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. car real estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned, and we'll take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
I forgot to, my mind is intermittent sometimes. I get on one subject and I forget what I was going to talk about, and I was trying to introduce the whole group that is going to be on the show today because we got some great guests. We just had the rabbi, which was sensational. We got a Ben and Jerry scoop of the day. JJ is going to be on. That's JJ Bradshaw, going to be on. In about 4 minutes. Dr. Amy, now I did talk about her, and this is going to be interesting because we're dealing with a lot. We're seeing a lot of changes in the country. Some are good, some are bad. I think right now I'd give Kevin McCarthy an A, and the rest of the Republicans for going along with him after a tough ceremony to get him to be the Speaker of the House. He has listened. He is complying, and we're the better for it. And it seems like even the Democrats seem to be going along with it somewhat. I don't know why, but maybe they're beginning to see what's happening with Joe Biden and the fact that Joe Biden is suddenly getting nailed by his own party. I mean, look, these document searches is not being done by anybody in the GOP. It's being done by Biden's own DOJ and his FBI and all this other thing. Now, they are going easy on the guy, and maybe they're just using it to try to persuade him to resign so they can get maybe, and we're going to talk about this too later in the show, Michelle Obama in there. Wow, wouldn't that be something? Michelle Obama, hopefully against Donald Trump. Whoa. Which is basically Barack Obama, and we know who's been running Joe Biden. It's pretty obvious who's running Joe Biden. He was a terrible president in his own right, and now he's got this idiot who can't communicate, and he can't act, and he has a terrible people trying to control him. So, can you blame Joe? Yeah, you can, because he should know better, and he's never been any good. He's never been any good in the White House as a vice president. He's never been any good anywhere else. So after Dr. Amy, we got a special treat, Bill Hardwick. He is a state representative here in Missouri, and he writes a lot of legislation. He's going to be here to talk about that and the other great things of the day. We have great conversations. He's a lawyer. He's an Iraqi platoon leader, so he's a veteran, but he's also still in the reserves. And finally, we're going to have Chris Adamo, who is very, very brilliant in his way of convincing us that we should not suck up to anybody who is calling us white supremacists. And as I speak, all of a sudden, this white guy appears on my screen. I don't know how that happened. Anyways, we're going to play a song for him, and then we're going to listen to him. Hit it.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You
got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your stuff all over the place, singing, we will rock you. We will rock you, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a special surprise. This man, you won't believe it if you're looking on the screen here, because he's 254 years old. Wow. He goes all the way back to the revolutionary times, where he used to hang out with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and ye old tavern there in Virginia, and pick up pioneer women. And so he knows a lot. He goes all the way back there. He knows a lot about the Constitution and how it was formed. He knows the original formers of it, the founders of the country. So that's why he has to go around usually wearing this tinfoil hat, just to keep it all in that head of his. Now he's here to share a little sliver of what he knows, of what he's experienced. Please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Hi, JJ. What's up?
Well, there's so much up that sticks in my craw. It's difficult to put them in order.
I had the same problem this morning. I was just trying to figure out, how do I get all this stuff in?
Yeah, I think we're being flooded by idiocy. Let me start with the most recent idiocy. The press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, on Wednesday, had a little press conference, and this is not the brightest bulb in the box, Dave. She's just not very sharp. One of the talking points that she attempted to make on Wednesday, she claims that the Republicans want to end Title 42. The fact is, there are a bunch of Republicans in the House that say we need to emergency extend this thing until we can do something about our southern border. What's going to happen is the expiration of Title 42 will about double the number of illegals coming across our southern border, because we will have no mechanism in place that they're willing to enforce to deport them. She was immediately lambasted by the fact checkers.
Yeah.
And, the fact checkers are pretty much a bunch of leftists. So the fact that a bunch of leftists are beating her up over this thing, it just serves to underscore the idiocy of our executive branch at this time in history.
Well, suddenly we're seeing Democrats and Republicans giving joint airings to the press, and suddenly talking about the border, together as a problem. And what I didn't expect to see that. And I don't know whether it's Democrats coming to their senses or realizing that Joe's going away and they better watch their P's and Q's. I don't know.
Dave, it's a matter of political convenience, like anything in politics. Political convenience, because these people are hearing from their constituents who are outraged over the way our federal government is being run. And if these clowns expect to get reelected, they're going to have to make at least the appearance of some sort of agreement. Whether the Democrats believe this stuff or not, I seriously doubt it. This is simply political convenience. Yeah. Now, speaking of politics, Ilhan Omar, you mentioned her, and the rabbi mentioned her. Uh-huh. Of course, she's been removed from the Foreign Relations or Foreign Affairs Committee by Kevin McCarthy and some others.
I think she was voted out, too. I think in her case she had to be voted out, which meant all the Republicans held on. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, but consider the politics of this. She's anti-Israel. She's an anti-Semite. She's on so many feet of tape making anti-Semitic remarks.
Right.
If you recall, Nancy Pelosi was going to censor her, and instead issued a broad statement censuring anyone in the Congress who made anti-Semite remarks. Right. This was a paint job over a cancer. But what's so interesting about this politically, if you recall, Pelosi refused to seat Jim Jordan and Jim Banks on the January 6th committee.
Yep.
And the Republicans at that time said, someday there'll be payback for this.
Yeah.
here's your payback.
And that's payback for that, and the fact that they made Marjorie Greene sit down off of a committee in her when she was Speaker of the House.
Yeah,
so,
you just stole my next remark, Dave.
Oh, sorry.
The next thing I was going to say was remember the Marjorie Taylor Greene debacle.
Right.
Politicians have long memories. Even though a bunch of them are idiots, they do have some memory. And here's your payback. Now, if the Democrats thought the Republicans weren't going to get even for this stuff, then they're bigger fools than I had considered. Here's your payback. And guess what? There's going to be a whole lot more of it. Now that the Republicans have this razor-thin majority in the House of Representatives, there's going to be much more of this. Ilhan Omar is the first. She's possibly the most egregious, although one could say that any member of the so-called squad is anti-Semitic and mostly anti-American. I got a good chuckle out of that when this happened to her. Couldn't happen to a better person. It's a shame we can't deport her, but oh well, I think Gitmo would probably be a good second. Here's some more ridiculous from our executive branch, and this is DOJ stuff. Of course, Barack Obama and his 8-year tyranny thoroughly weaponized DOJ. So here's Hunter Biden with his laptop. The President of the United States, the current sitting tyrant, claimed no knowledge of any of this, knowledge of anything.
No, she claimed it was a fraud, a Russian hoax. Remember that?
Yes. It's all a vast right-wing conspiracy, to quote Chairman Hillary. Well, you know, they say that the best defense is a good offense, and here's one from the lawyers. Hunter admits this thing belongs to him. Then his lawyers go after Steve Bannon,
right.
Rudy Giuliano, Robert Costello, who was Giuliano's attorney, and of course Mac Isaac, who's the one that started all of this stuff. They claim that Hunter's rights were violated by the release of this. Well, if you recall, Mac Isaac tried to give that laptop to the politicized FBI,
right.
and they didn't want it.
Right.
So he, thankfully, made a copy of this thing.
And he had every right to do it.
He did. If you read what Hunter signed when he entered this laptop in for repair, it says that I can look at your hard drive. I have to be able to troubleshoot this thing. And by the way, if you leave this here more than 90 days, it becomes property of me.
And he called the guy, and the guy never returned his calls. Hunter never returned his calls.
In my intro to this, I said this is possibly the second most biggest idiocy I have seen.
Well, and that lawyer, who is supposed to be a great lawyer, by the way, he just put himself up into a situation to where he can be he could be examined in a court of law, and because this may involve the information of these documents being classified, there's some emails in there that has Hunter Biden sending out messages to countries to trade cash for secrets.
Well, and cash for access to his daddy.
And that, but also this is what puts it into the realm of the House committees to interview them, because now we've got a potential federal crime of espionage.
I'm so pleased that this is being looked into, but consider the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is an arm of the Department of Justice, who have drugged their feet on this thing for years. And if they had an opportunity, they would cover it up completely. Now, I want to know where the justice is. Aren't these folks supposed to be seeking justice, rule of law? Not at all. The Barack Obama politicized Department of Justice is engaged in cover-ups every day.
Yep.
Instead of defund police, how about we defund the FBI and just start over?
That's where this could be heading. You've already had the head of the CIA say, "I'm not going to talk about it," and so the next step is, all right, you don't want to talk, fine. You're just not going to have a job anymore because we're defunding you.
Well, politically, this probably won't happen.
I don't know.
But if there is justice, if there's someone interested in pursuing justice, these things ought to come to light. You want to keep the classified stuff classified, fine, I'm good with that. But there's an awful lot on this laptop that's already been published that is serious, serious dirt on Hunter and his daddy and his daddy's brother. This looks like a tremendous money laundering scheme.
It's a crime family. It's in line with the mafias, for God's sakes. And where are Hunter Biden's tax returns?
Yeah,
I mean, Hunter and Joe Biden. Where's Joe Biden's tax returns? He got Trump's all of a sudden. And after they got Trump's, they've been screaming for Trump's taxes for all these years. Suddenly they get him, and crickets. You got crickets? Crickets. This is what you hear. That's it. Nobody says anything about him. So what? Biden's, on the other hand, wow. How did he get all this money all of a sudden?
I see JP wanting to comment on this.
Yes, go ahead, JP.
It's just funny to me how the worst thing they found on Trump's tax returns was that the claim was he owed, I think he had to pay $1.6 million because they said he didn't pay enough in taxes. That's it. That's all I could find.
Well, that was from the manager of his company, or the CPA for the company. He fessed up that it was his fault. So there is no conviction of Donald Trump on anything.
Trump tax returns are a big nothing burger.
Yeah, it's a big nothing burger. And good for him for dragging it out, though, because it becomes now a precedent where they can subpoena your taxes.
They drug it out. They were hoping this would go away. This is what they do. When you get lawyers involved, they put this stuff off as long as possible, hoping that the public will forget about it. Some of us have much longer memories than that.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden's tax returns intertwined with Hunter's, I think, would be a fascinating forensic accounting exercise.
But they have now you have the precedent being set with what they did with Donald Trump's taxes, went all the way through the courts and back again. And okay, fine, a court has decided that it's okay to get a president's tax returns. Okay, fine. What's good for the goose? It's good for the gander.
I wonder if the Democrats are now regretting that strategy.
Oh, I would think so, because
it's going to go boom in their face.
It's. How about Nancy Pelosi now? I mean, let's look at hers and her husband's tax returns and find out when votes were timed to have her husband representing her and buying stock all over the place and or selling stock all over the place based on inside information.
Yes, insider trading is rampant in Washington, D.C.,
right.
And I think Nancy Pelosi would be a good person to pursue regarding that. The timing of this thing is much more than coincidence. There's no question there was inside information going on there. Is anyone going to prosecute that? Don't know.
And now, luckily, our very own Josh Hawley has put together a bill to ban members of Congress from being able to trade while they are actively involved in Congress.
Yeah, and he's also got a bill coming in. I think this was another guy. It's not Waltz, it's Gates, has a bill to get rid of the classified ability to see classified material from from Schiff, and they're calling it the pencil one in his honor. You know, the pencil neck. Seriously, they're calling it the pencil
Adam Schiff is another one that is so ridiculous, so badly politicized. One just has to wonder, how does this clown keep getting reelected?
Now he's feeling the heat now, because he's been kicked out of the committee. That he was head of the Intelligence Committee, wasn't he? I think
there wasn't much intelligence on that
committee.
No,
and now he's going to run for Dianne Feinstein's seat along with Swalwell.
You know what's scary is he'll probably get it. I'm afraid the people
It's
in California
California.
took some LSD in the 60s and never quite came back from it.
Well, I guess so.
I guess I've got a little piece from the Fed here that this was from Jerome Powell. He issued this statement the other day in a long diatribe that he had written, that for the economy, the pandemic is no longer an issue. Well, when I read that, I said, no, wait a minute, wait a minute. We're still reeling from the COVID lockdowns. And I offer you this as evidence. Castle Systems, who keeps an eye on the pulse of commercial office space, says that office occupancy is 54.4%.
Very bad.
Right now, as we stand. Now, how would you like to be a landlord in New York City, San Francisco, San Jose,
Chicago?
Pick one.
Yeah.
And have commercial property that you had previously leased long-term that you are making payments on.
Yeah.
Now at 50% occupancy, what do you do? Well, was your profit margin high enough to absorb that in the commercial real estate market? I doubt it. So what's going to occur long-term is you're going to see foreclosure and fire sales over this commercial office space. Now, tell me that won't dent our economy, even though Jerome Powell says, yeah, the pandemic, we're done with it. We're good. It's not an issue anymore. I think the long-term consequences of this will be substantial. I think you're going to see foreclosures in commercial real estate.
JJ, it's not just the pandemic. It's the crime. You look at downtown Chicago, the Miracle Mile, where that was always immune from the south side and the west side of Chicago. But not anymore. All that crime and stuff like that, they have lost 1/3 of their occupancy in the Miracle Mile in Chicago. That's huge, and that's a crime-related one. This is happening all over the country.
Of course it's happening. Downtown St. Louis is in the same boat.
Right.
You have serious crime rate. People don't want to lease down there. They don't want to go to work down there.
Sure. It's dangerous.
Would you willingly go to work in a place where you're likely to be mugged or killed? Of course not. If you have a choice, and some people do, to work from home, at least you are so far secure in your own residence. So the long-term consequences of this thing, I think Jerome Powell minimized that in his statement. And his statement was lengthy. I think he minimized that to the detriment of our country. I think long-term we're going to see commercial real estate market fall apart. The residential market is already falling apart.
Well, to your point, these people, as the best economists in the whole world, supposedly, they missed all of this. They missed it completely. Remember, it was the inflation. Oh, it's transitory. It's not going to be a big deal. Yes. Right up until they started the 75-point punishment to the stock market. I mean, and they kept on saying the wrong stuff and exacerbating the pain of people in the state, in the country, and saying, oh no, this is going to go away quickly. I mean, it's almost like you have to do opposite of what they tell you.
How much of this is propaganda? How much is real and factually based? I suspect there's an awful lot more propaganda than there is facts involved with this.
Why would you want to ruin your reputation if you're the chief economist of the United States, Janet Yellen and Powell? I mean, why would you want to completely ruin what you've built up in your life?
If these people are, in fact, sincere about their careers, perhaps they were fed some felonious information.
Then why not resign?
Well,
if you're not going,
would you?
Would I?
Yeah, if
I would. Yeah, I would. I would. If I was told phony information, I would say I can't live like this. I cannot take that information and knowing that it's wrong. And tell people that because you want me to stay in office. I'm not doing it.
Well, Dave, apparently you're a man of conscience. These are not necessarily creatures of conscience.
Well, no kidding. Yeah.
That's our.
Well,
listen, that's the biggest part of our problem. We don't have people.
Paid.
We don't have people that are honestly doing their job. They're doing bad things, and they're covering. And the way they get around it is covering it up and then lying about it.
Happens
That's not a way to have a
Congress all the
government.
time.
Yeah. All right. So
that is what we live in, Dave. It's 1984 all over again. Orwell got it right.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. I do have a little parting shot for you. You no
okay.
need to duck.
Let me duck.
You're in no danger from
okay.
me. Our buddies in Russia.
Yes.
Putin is known for the big bluff, and we had a START treaty in 2010 that limited nuclear proliferation, or at least attempted to do so, by inspections of U.S. facilities and Russian facilities. At that time, they were the big two nuclear powers. Well, Russia is preventing inspection of its nuclear facilities now. They're dragging their feet. Moscow was limited to 1,550 deliverable warheads. Consider the size of that number. We're talking global annihilation here if they decided to unleash them. A double global annihilation if the United States chose to respond. Under a Biden administration, we probably wouldn't respond because the man's a fool. This is all Putin. This is Putin playing one-upsmanship against a weak executive branch in the United States, a weak Secretary of State. We're attempting to negotiate and attempting to hold their feet to the fire regarding the START treaty from a position of no power at
kidding.
all.
You want to see a big example of a 3-bus big example of what we're calling the cricket's reply by Biden? How about that balloon over Montana? And what's this? And apparently they didn't see it coming. The thing's going like, how fast can a big balloon like that go? Okay.
And that thing was over Western Canada for quite a while. They didn't bother to say anything about it.
Well, I mean, do they know that this thing came? Do they know that they could actually deliver nuclear weapons from something like that?
From what I've given to understand, this is entirely espionage, spying.
Okay.
And apparently the U.S. has covered up otherwise sensitive information from this balloon. Doesn't matter. The satellites pick this stuff up every day anyway.
Do you trust the government to actually know what the hell they're doing?
No, not this government.
Me neither. I don't trust any government.
There was a time in my life, Dave, where I did trust the government, but that is long, long, long ago.
Yeah, me too. I was 3.
Yeah. I was only about 100 years old at that time.
Yeah.
The current regime that we have is not worthy of our trust. And like you said earlier in our conversation, whatever the government says, you probably ought to believe the opposite of it, or words to that effect.
All right. What else you got for me, my friend?
David, that's all I've got for you this Friday.
Hi to your lovely wife. And thank you so much, J.J. Bradshaw. You have a great weekend, buddy. Have a great weekend. I got a caller. Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Adolph.
I got to get them back because I couldn't get an answer in time. So.
Okay. Yeah, always answer. Just answer and leave it in limbo.
I tried and I missed it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that was JJ. Good job as always on him. And we have a lot of the same beliefs, and we have great conversations. He's also been on the show for like 13 years. Isn't that incredible? Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. I guess I'm calling you so I know who you are. Is this Adolph? Yes, it is.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. How you like the unemployment numbers today?
I didn't see them.
3.5% and 570,000 new jobs.
Whoa! So the market must be way up, huh? No, I didn't see that. Wait a minute. Is that it? No. No, they're no, I didn't see it. Hopefully the market's way up, because I never sold anything because of the market. Although I didn't buy anything
much, anyways.
Well, I'm just kind of curious as if those low numbers, like 3.4% interest, does that include all the homeless? Does that include all the illegal aliens that don't have
Well, yeah.
jobs?
What do you think? What do you think?
I think them numbers are about as phony as they can be.
Well, and you got people. You got a lot of the big tech companies are laying off people left and right, and they had a great. They had a great day.
People just don't want to go to work.
But they had a great day yesterday. They're laying off people, and it's hard for me to find work, find labor, being
workers,
in the fast food business and all. Although we seem to be settled down somewhat, to the extent that it wasn't as bad as it was for a while. And now we're just trying to adjust things to where we're living in a market of getting labor, but still having some problems, and a food situation to where it's going up every day, just about. That's where the big problem is.
Well, a question for an employer: are the employees that we're getting, are they staying there, or are they just moving on?
I think a lot of them are staying. We have some turnover, but it's hard to find people to work late at night, early in the morning. That's a difficult problem. But the crews and the management I got in most of my stores are good and improving. We just did a McDonald's inspection, and they were talking like we were some of the best stores out there. So I was pretty happy about that. When they saw the numbers I had employed in these stores, they were, I should say my son, give him credit, because he's the main guy now. And seems like they were very happy about it, to the extent of asking me if I could help them tell other operators what I'm doing. So.
Well, yeah, that sounds great.
Oh yeah, well, very happy about it.
But I would imagine there's places in markets where they just can't find anybody.
Oh, there's got to be. Yeah, there's plenty of places like that, and there's plenty of places that the minimum wage, like in California, is like $22 or something like that. I don't know how you survive on that. I mean, listen, I'm barely getting along on what I got.
Cost out there.
Yeah, so it's not good. What else you got for me?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting better. I got to start dealing with the lung cancer here shortly, so we're just trepping on.
We got what? What's the matter?
You say lung cancer?
You got lung cancer?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't either until last year, or last November.
Oh boy.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well,
so
actually, it was. I had a colonoscopy, and there was a bleeding issue. So when they went to the hospital for the bleeding issue, they did one of them total CAT scans. Get the old pussycat out there and scan over the top, that sort of thing. And when they did the whole body cavity, they found the cancer.
Oh.
So actually, it was a good thing I was bleeding.
Well, maybe, yeah. Gosh. All right. Well, I hope they caught it in time.
So we're working on it.
Hope they caught it in time.
Good.
No,
keep positive.
No, I don't even want to tell my joke. I'm going to tell you the joke anyways.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a joke. You got a Super Bowl coming up, and I want to give you this advice at what'll happen. Where ends meet, quarterbacks crumble.
That's a good one.
Quarterbacks crumble. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. They get around their guys, and they.
So who's going to win?
Who's going to win? That's a good question. Both of these guys have been hurt. It looks like what's his name? The guy in Philadelphia. It looks like he's going to be probably in better shape, because he looked fairly healthier than what's his name? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Mahomes he powered through it, and now he's got 2 weeks, so I think he's going to be ready to go.
He had that one great run at the end of it, where the guy hit him out of bounds, and it was over. Yeah. How would you like to be the guy that knocked him out of bounds when he was already had 2 feet out of bounds, and it was so obvious it was ridiculous. It wasn't even controversial,
No, they showed the guy after the hit, and he actually got hurt on the hit.
Yeah, he got hurt.
And he was on the sideline crying because he knew, they called the penalty.
He knew he screwed up. big time. That was a big collapse right there.
Well,
that would have been
you
in
make
overtime. They were out of range. That extra
Yeah.
15 yards got them the field goal.
There you go.
All right. Well, listen. I hope you feel better, and you say hi to your lovely bride, Joanne, and you take care of yourself, pal.
I will do. I'll let you know how it's going.
Thank you. Keep us
Sounds
posted.
good. Take care, guys.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So, my wife's got a new wine thing, and she's talking on her phone, and she keeps on doing stuff. She's dropping the thing. It's a very delicate piece of equipment. You dropped it about 3 times last night. I'm surprised it's still there.
I have a hard time with one hand holding the phone.
Well, why do you do that? Call him back. Hey, I'm busy here. I'm busy here getting wine for a very important person.
You know what?
My husband.
You know what? Maybe you could take care of the wine.
You know what? I think you just ought to put...
In addition to the wine, you can take care of the
I think you ought to
wine.
just put a cork in it right there. Just put a cork in it. She was wondering why I had that. Put a cork in it,
This is why
woman.
there's a cork in here.
Yeah, there you go. It was under my hat. Somehow it fell out.
Yeah, that explains it. That's why the cork's
There
here.
you
yeah.
go. There you go. It's almost like it went over.
Maybe I should surprise you guys and pop in on a Thursday sometime. And
Yeah, well,
see
we
what's
don't want
going on.
to.
We may not be here.
Well, the hookers, we got to cancel the hookers. That's all there is to it.
Was that next week?
Stop it.
No, that's every week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We weren't supposed to tell anybody.
About what?
I don't know, but I feel very rotated all of a sudden. I think I need a re-rotation.
No, you don't.
You know, so. Ooh, that tickles. Stop it! No. All right, let's do basketball. I lost my nuts.
I just
Damn, we gotta go straight to the basketball now. I think my nuts just dropped off. Oh man, that hurt. All right, we're back, and you see, I'm not in pain, and I was wearing a different outfit, a different T-shirt. I have this new model. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is the Weinbaum organization shirts. I don't know who invented that. Was that Brenna, my daughter-in-law?
I think so.
Yeah, it's great. They all love it.
Yep.
Other
Everybody loves
people
them.
want it. We got it for JP and Rick out there.
Now we just need one for Peggy.
And we need one for Peggy. Yes. This is big time. And you want. Oh well, let's go to the board here, because in 2 minutes we're going to have Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim. Good morning from Rico Camino, a friend of Rick's, I think. Owen McNamee, good morning, Patriots, and he was pushing my stuff all over Twitter last night. Thank you so much, my friend. And the squad of cow farts. Can I say that? Yes, I can. I just did. Oh, okay. Thank you. I don't know what he was talking about, but great job, Rabbi, from JJ.
You're talking about the squid.
Squids, okay. Yeah. Great job, Rabbi, from, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Rabbi going to be here in a couple weeks. Good morning, Shannon Reed. Hi, Shannon. How you doing?
Hi.
Good to see you again. Anyone else? Okay. If you want to call the show, 573-578-2700. Get it off your chest. There's got to be so much on your chest. And I can't wait for my next interview because, she really is helpful. And she is, I had my son on here. We were having some problems. And she did a great job of coaching us and stuff. And we've gotten along very well since. And this is her payback. She gets to be on the show. And hopefully other people will call her and hire her. So she's going to pop up here any minute now. And with that, I'm going to go finally to my notes. Let's see. A1 chatbots. They're human-like. And they answer questions on facts or politics and morals. So, what do you think about communicating with chatbots?
I'm a big fan of it.
Huh? I don't think they're. 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 I don't think they're All right, go ahead. Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Did you know that I deleted you?
You deleted me?
Yeah. Did you know that?
Uh-oh.
Why?
That's not good.
No, I mean, I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
Let the blind lady do something on a cell phone.
Okay. Well, listen. Can you call me back? Because I don't know where did you delete me?
On Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's just terrible. That's just terrible. I always had this foreboding feeling all morning that something bad happened. That's horrible.
No, I didn't do it on purpose.
I hope not.
I've been learning that, and it takes me time, but I have to figure it out.
Well,
get your my pizza comes.
Get yourself in gear. You're calling me from Maine, aren't you?
No, from Florida.
Oh, you moved to Florida?
No.
Is this just your winter home, or you're on vacation?
No. We are in Maine. It's around 20 below.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
So yeah, you're hit, aren't you? You got hit.
Oh my goodness, yes,
Yeah.
big time. But anyways, I'll talk to you later then.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And you get me back up there as a friend on Facebook,
Bye,
or
Bridget.
else.
Bye, Bridget.
Or else I'm coming to Maine and I want all the lobster I can eat. She's already gone.
Yeah.
All right. You having trouble with getting Amy, huh?
Yeah, it's not allowing me to send her the stream link code. I keep trying to send it, and it will not allow me to do
keep
so.
Going on. It's not like we have a big hurry here.
Okay, now it finally let me. It just went through. There we go.
Oh, goody. All right. Well, there she goes. She'll be on shortly, I hope. Okay. Well, it's the radio. Hey, this the 5 black cops who murdered this Tyree Nichols, also black in Memphis, who apparently was innocent of any crime or anything. What the hell what is going on with that? Can anybody call me up and explain that? The 5 black cops and they were caught on camera just beating the living hell out of this guy, and they kept giving him orders, and finally he had to run for his life, and he didn't make it. I mean, he was up against a car, and finally a couple days later he died. And on that sad note, I have somebody there, and we're going to play her song. Hit it.
Lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Those go up in my spine. Woo. Bad boss, expert, motivational speaker. She hates social media and politics, but can't stay away from them. She's an author, and she's a professional sleeper and singer. Sometimes I bet she sleeps or sings in her sleep. Please welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show the official shrink to Dave Weinbaum. I mean to the Dave Weinbaum Show, Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim. So from 1 to 10, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. Let's say I feel a 10.
Pretty good. So that's a 10? Yeah. Well, no, that's not a 10. Come
we
on.
talk about every week. I mean, I really force myself to get to that level.
Why do you force yourself? Doesn't that bother you to have to force yourself? Shouldn't you naturally feel that?
Well, I think that we have to be true to ourselves. So we have to appreciate that. Sometimes it's not going to be that we wake up with this bright, cheery disposition. But I think we can encourage ourselves to think through the issue and approach it with the positive. So even if something terrible is going on, thankfully we have the resources to fix that terrible issue. Or if something sad is happening, grateful for the happier memories that were the day before.
Well, here's something that'll make you a little miserable. The wind turbines on the East Coast. Where do you live? The East Coast. Are you interrupting the whales' communications and the migrations of other fish, and they're dying on the beaches? I mean, doesn't that bother you?
That bothers me.
Okay.
Sure.
So that might make you a 9.5 then, right?
Okay, so my point is when you ask me how I'm doing, yes, sometimes things are really, really crappy. Today, I'm grateful that things are pretty good. I have some issues that I'm working through, and so I'm preoccupied. And so that's why I'm saying I have to almost force the 10. But yeah.
Well, tell me what you're working on. Maybe I can help you.
No, I mean, so we have 3 kids, and our middle child is desperate for a larger school. She goes to a very small private school, and we feel like it's the best choice for her. We did it with intention, and she's begging us to please, please, please go anywhere where she can meet more kids. Oh. And I know from my parent hat that I have to look at a happy, healthy, whole kid.
Yeah.
But from looking at it from, say, an academic standpoint, leaving anywhere and going to a new place junior year of high school, that's when the grades really count. That's when things are going on for college. And I don't think it's the right choice to go to a new school that might make her not look as good on paper. But I know for her heart, she needs to make a move. So I'm trying to figure out where to move her, and it's a little challenging.
So are you going to give in? I don't want to put it that way. Yes, you're going to give in. Okay, so you're going to give her what she wants.
We're not, we are going to...
And at the age of 45, she'll still be living with you. How's that?
By the way, it's so funny you said that because that's literally what I was telling a lot. I said, I'm not sure if we need to make sure that we're making the right choice so that we help her in the immediate and we let her know that we hear her, but that we also don't set her up to not be successful in the new place. So my head is wrapping around what do we do? Do we try to get another small private school? Do we get a very large private school? Do we go to the public sector when someone's never been? I mean, she's been in private education from kindergarten. And I think that there are pros and cons to that. But switching, again, that very pivotal year, 11th grade, I'm not sure.
How small is the school? I mean, what, you got 10 people?
She has 40 kids in her grade.
That's it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she wants to have, the public school system might have 600. So then if you have an issue with a friend group, you make new friends who have a new interest. Yeah. You can, it's just so there's certain benefits.
Is it safe? Are there problems like that where you live?
Well, the reason we've kept her in this small school is actually safety. That's one of the things we like, the fact that they have, they actually have armed guards. They have rules and things with who can come into the school and out. And during some of the times that, the world right now, I like that extra element of safety. But she also wants to be happy, healthy, and whole. And she wants more friends. And she cares more about socialization and doesn't have that.
Yeah, so. All right.
Okay, yeah, so that's what's going on in this noggin.
Okay, well, but that doesn't make you a 10. You make everybody wonder, how does she maintain a 10? Okay, that puts you down a notch.
It puts me down many notches, but that's so then what I have to do is really refocus, recenter. Yeah. And I need to say, you know what, thankfully we have these choices. Thankfully we're able to offer her another opportunity. And so I think it's really the way we spin a situation.
See, I don't think it's that bad to be under a 10 for this. I think sometimes you feel really bad and you still push for the right decision, but you still feel bad because you might be wrong. Sure. You might be wrong.
That's a slice of my day. That's a slice of how I'm feeling. Yes, it's all consuming right now because it's what I'm worried about for my kid. But I have a wise person once told me that you're only as happy as your most unhappy child. And so, we have three, and one of them may be not as happy at one point or another, and so we're only going to be as happy as that person is unhappy.
A happy child sometimes is not a good thing, because they're happy over stuff that she's not going to be able to use later on in life. Communication. She needs to know there's going to be some times when she shouldn't do something.
Oh, totally.
Shouldn't rob. Mom didn't tell me I couldn't rob that bank, so I guess I'm going to go do that. Well, I mean, in a smaller kid thing.
The point is, we have to teach our kids to be able to speak up and to share their opinions and be able to hear, and also to say, hey, this is what I want, and then for us to say, unfortunately, no, you're not going to get to do this.
And here's why. I mean, I like the fact that you should argue with kids. I think you should, because it develops their mind. They're going to have to go somewhere and work for somebody else most of the time. All right? And when they work for somebody else, they're going to be criticized. They're going to be maybe lied to even, and I think they need to know how to handle that. Not that you would lie to her or anybody else like that, but they need to be able to debate things with people.
100%. And they need to be able to do so in a way where they can articulate their perspective, yet still not be thinking of the retort, rather listening to what the other person's saying and then thinking and responding.
What'd you say?
We're too quick to jump back and forth. But really, it's so important for us to do that. And so, yes, but I think that this is one of those pivotal moments in our daughter's life where we need to make sure that we show her that we hear her and that we support her.
Yeah. Is it time for her to wake up now, or what? You better run to the room and have her wake up. So what do the other kids react to this? What are they thinking about that?
So, talk about like a democracy. Obviously, it really isn't one in our home because,
it shouldn't be.
I are in charge, right? Yeah. But we do sit and talk and share ideas. So our oldest son, who's a senior, feels that being in a small school really did impact him negatively from a social standpoint. He has a couple of nice, good friends, but it took him a while to get there. And he'll have those friends for life, and he turned out great. But he really felt like he lost out on some of that larger high school experience. And he's not as social as our daughter. So he said for her, he really feels that she needs to branch out, spread her wings, and go anywhere else. Eek. That was not the answer we wanted to hear, because we think that she should stay put. But yeah. So
did she pay him for that or what? So he honestly felt that.
I know, right? No, he knows her very well. They have such a beautiful relationship. The kids talk and communicate with one another and stand up for each other.
Well, that's good stuff, right there. And that's
anyway,
that's a guy. Sounds like, I don't know where he would get this idea. Maybe he could be a lawyer. I have no idea where he'd get that kind of an idea.
Business, but he can definitely argue a case, and our kids, thankfully, are happy, healthy, whole kids.
Well, I'll intercede myself a little bit in this, because I went to a high school that was one of the biggest in the country, Evanston Township High School. We had at the time well over 6,000 students, and it was every race you could think of, every religion you can think of. I don't remember any Muslims back then, but it was in the 60s. So who knows, there might have been. But, and it was very interesting to see how all these different segments got along and or didn't get along. I mean, I had a lot of fights in high school. I had a lot of people pick on me. Some of the black kids picked on me. Actually, I think they picked on me more than anybody, because I just didn't look like I was able to take. I was a draw for bullies. I don't know why. I didn't.
Let's talk about that.
That's an interesting thing. But later in life, it's like I almost sucker them in, because they think they can whip me, and because I don't act aggressive, and then they come at me, and I kind of almost want that, because I know what they are. They're really cowards looking for easy victories.
And I think that you learned an important lesson unfortunately through some of that. But I'm assuming that helped you in establishing the right types of relationships as an adult, recognizing when there could be problems and deciding how to handle it before that, escalates to that level.
Well, I like to think I've cooled off, but you know that if I have certain situations, because I've shown it to you. Yeah. I've shown it on tape to you, me and other, big people, young people, and I really don't want to get involved in that, but just the reason for me being out there maybe is one of those reasons. I love it out there. When I direct traffic and drive-through, I do that all the time. Right. And I feel like in my own mind, I can control the entire restaurant from the drive-through because I know when it's going quick. I know, and I go in every once in a while to see how they're doing, and to have people there that I laugh with, I tell jokes to, and I get them to move, and that's a big deal in the drive. That's huge in the drive-through.
Sure.
But I also think there's an element of me that likes being out there where there could be danger, because there could be. And I don't know why. But no other operator in McDonald's will do what I do. They won't do it.
See, and when you talk about that, I see you engaging with the customer, feeling pride in the fact that your operation is moving smoothly and wanting to give the best experience and service possible.
And they're seeing me. I don't sit in an office like I'm doing now. Right. So I'm not sitting there doing whatever people do when they're hiding in the office. Okay, I'm out in the public. Everybody drives on that parking lot because most, like 95% of them come in one exit. They all see me there, and I'm waving at them with a big rubber finger. Yeah. And it's kind of cool, and they're waving back, and they're telling jokes, and they're making fun of my finger like I've never heard this before. So it's fun, and yet there is that little danger in that, and I don't get too much of it lately. Like a person will not pull up and they'll try to hit me.
Oh my!
It's happened. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about me. Other than sleeping well, what other strategies do you suggest for self-care?
So self-care is something that is so important. And I think we talk about it, it's a buzzword, but we don't often actually take the time to do things for ourselves that will help us to be happier and more comfortable and able to take care of ourselves by sleeping. There are things that I like to do, whether it be exercise related, taking a brisk walk while talking on the phone or outside of your neighborhood if weather permits, can help you to, disconnect from some of the everyday and appreciate the beauty of being able to just take a walk, to clear your mind and to connect. There's something that I like to do every day. I try and I encourage my clients to always try their best to do something that will help them physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually every day. And so what that means is you can combine topics like be going on a walk, but talking to someone who, you care for or someone who you have an emotional connection with. Then you would be hitting off on the physical, right? So you're walking. Yeah. And the emotional because you're connecting with that person and feeling like you're not all alone in the world. So you're able to then say, okay, I've done two things that will make sure that I am taking care of myself today. And then intellectually, participating in this show is an example of an intellectual exercise, right? We're using our brains and communicating and talking about concepts and ideas. And so whether that's surfing the web, watching the History Channel, something that gives that little element of engaging our brain that will help us to make sure we're taking.
What's so intellectual about this show? And I kind of like that.
Oh my gosh, it's so intellectual.
Is it? Do you really think that? I like to think that.
I really do. I think
that's a big compliment.
To create, solid content that's supported. Obviously, you ask for people's opinions, and sometimes that might be based on gestalt. But in general, you're doing your research, and the person who's listening or participating has to engage at some level of that. Hopefully, is using some of that. And then from a spiritual standpoint, whatever it is that floats your boat, spiritually, whether it's religion or doing some yoga or meditation or mindfulness practices. Taking the time to appreciate that the world is bigger than just you can help you to feel grounded. And so doing those things daily and saying, what did I do for myself today that helps me to hit, some of those buckets, can make sure that we walk away feeling more fulfilled.
I'm on this show to validate a lot of years that I thought I was really dumb because my parents thought I was dumb and told me I was dumb. And so I wasn't sure, about really no confidence at all about doing things, although I wanted to try them just to get over it. Speaking in front of people, that was huge, and so getting me to do that was running for office in McDonald's to be president of a co-op and a couple of those. And I just didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I could give a speech. And so I did that.
Now look at you now, Dave.
Well, yeah, and the show started in when I was 60 years old. It's 14 years old in my 15th year. And so I didn't know I could do this. Who knew, right? And I've succeeded in this, all right? I got sponsors. I mean, I don't go out and get tons of sponsors, but I'll probably get some more. And I was successful on 2 radio shows. And I was their best by far in terms of the ratings. And I saw those ratings. And they got rid of me. But I went right. I knew it wasn't me. I knew it was something else. Something was wrong with them. So now I'm in a situation to where I can't be fired. And I can get my own audience, and I've got them back. I think I got a lot of them back.
You did.
Yeah, and it's because I talk to people like you, and you were part of me getting canceled. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Yes, because they wanted me to call you and tell you don't come on the show after I invited you on the show, and it was my job to do so. And then all of a sudden, the new manager says, "Oh, we're not having her on the show. Call her." I says, "You call her." I says, I was told we needed some other guests on the show, and I got her. So I ended up calling you because I didn't want you. He wasn't going to call you. Right. And here you are years later, and I'm still doing this. And I appreciate that. A lot of people stayed with me. The rabbi stayed with me. J.J. Bradshaw stayed with me. A lot of the people I have on the show are regulars. Your husband, he's on the show a lot, and he adds a whole new dimension. I love both of you guys. You're great in what you do, both of you. So do you have any tips in minimizing stress? How can you manage stress if you're borderline paranoid like I am?
Well, I think we have to take the things that are causing us stress and recognize what we can control versus what is outside of our control. If there's something that we can actually handle to help us to be less stressed, then we need to do it. If you have a long commute and if you leave 10 minutes earlier, you avoid, in general, a lot of traffic, then perhaps set yourself up so that you leave 10 minutes earlier. If you are able to listen to a radio show or a news broadcast to see what the traffic is like outside or look at your app on your phone, take the time to do so to save yourself that pressure. There's certain things like that we can control. We can also just say, you know what, I don't like being late somewhere, so I'm going to always put 30 extra minutes in my day so I know that, I'm able to, if I get there early, I'll read a book or I'll go grab a cup of coffee. But I'll get to wherever I need to get on time. Or if you're the other way, not worrying if you're a few minutes late. If I'm late, I'm late. I'm going to do my best to get there.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are in our control and certain things that aren't. And when we, though, are recognizing that the world goes on around us, regardless of how we respond or react, things are just happening and it doesn't have to do with us. We are just in that place at that moment. Then it's how we respond and how we choose to take what is going on. And that's why when you ask me how I'm doing, the world can be stressful. It can be crazy. But I choose purposefully to say, you know what, let me count my blessings. And if I need to take a step back or I need to wait 10 seconds before responding or I need to not answer a phone call because I know that'll make my blood boil, then I'll take that time for me. Because at the end of the day, we have to take care of ourselves if we want to move forward and have healthy relationships with other people.
Where does religion come into this?
Religion?
Yeah.
Well, it depending on how one believes that way. So for me, I'm pretty devout that way. So I believe that that there's a reason for things, and I believe that there's a greater reason that I may not understand, and I need to appreciate that. And when I find it, say, oh gosh, I get that. And Dave, I'm sure there's so many instances in your life where you could say, in the moment, I was so stressed, I was so overwhelmed. Yeah. And now I realize that stress was worth it because it got me here. Or now I can appreciate where I am here because of that stress. Yeah. And there's actually something in the stress literature called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S, eustress. And eustress is positive. It's good. If you think of an athlete training, they put a lot of stress.
EU, did you say?
EU.
So it's European stress?
I mean, that's spelling.
I'm an American. I don't know about that.
eustress.
Okay.
Eustress. So eustress is positive stress.
Yeah.
It's when we do something, and if you think of like an athlete, putting that pressure on their body is stressful. Training is stressful, but at the end, those endorphins are phenomenal, and the win is phenomenal, and we put in that hard work because it's worth it.
Sure.
And so if we are able to frame, again, say these things are completely out of my control, can't deal with it, can't fix it, no matter how angry I get, no matter how much I talk about it, nothing is going to change because it doesn't have to do with me. My hand isn't making this happen. Something's happening around me and it's not good. So I'm going to choose to either stay in that situation or I'm going to try to make it better or I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Those are the choices that we have. But the things that could be positive and help us to be better, stronger, to be more resilient, to really work on our grit, then that's great.
The leaving part sometimes should be temporary because sometimes you feel so bad about something, you have to postpone it a little bit. Yeah. Now that's called leaving, maybe temporarily quitting. But I like to come back to things like that when I feel a little bit better and attack them. Especially if it involves.
Get a good night's sleep. We started talking about sleep, and when you have something that's totally on your mind, I feel like you and I spoke about writing it down on a pad of paper.
Yes.
I actually, in the middle of the night, one night woke up and I had all this stuff on my mind, and I didn't feel like turning on a light and writing, and I didn't have a pad of paper, and I didn't want to scribble. I wanted to get it out, and I wanted to remember it. So I made a voice note on my phone. Pretty fancy. I turned it on, and I made a recording, and then I had that in my mind. And it wrote it out for me in the note section, and it was a little off, right, because it was that recording mechanism. But I was able to get that idea, the things that were flowing in my mind and wouldn't leave. I was able to get it out, and then I could sleep. So I always think that we are able to, nothing good happens at 2 a.m. Nothing.
Well, Lisa, I remember Lisa woke me up at 2 p.m. the other night. She says, you know what? You never lift a finger. So I did. Now I'm in trouble. No, we don't. I mean, she's a good sleeper. She sleeps well.
I struggle.
Well, she struggles.
I
sleep pretty good for the most part.
You're a good sleeper.
I'm a good sleeper.
Yes.
And in the morning, you're right. After a good night's sleep, I'm more positive usually in the morning. Even though I've got some stress, especially on show day. I mean, I really do a lot of work on this, and I want it to go right, and I want to make sure I'm prepared for everyone. I don't want to make sure I fail because of unpreparedness, and just want to be a little bit better every week if I can. I pray for that every morning. I pray for that every time. I smile in the mirror every morning, and because it might be the last one I get back all day. Seriously.
But also, when you do that, you are able to you have to appreciate yourself. And a good exercise when you're smiling at the mirror, Dave, is to say one thing that you like about yourself. And every day you got to find something new.
Wow, I don't think I'm that good. JP saying he can't figure that every day. That may be a 1 or 2 day project.
I was thinking even for myself.
After a while, what happens is you repeat the same stuff. Like I don't even know what else is supposed to
Well, sure, yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't have to only be the outside features, right?
Yeah.
It can also be who you are inside, because that shines through too.
Yeah.
And I always find the way that we appear to ourselves is how we project ourselves to others. So that confidence and that poise and that gratitude is going to, display to those who are looking at you.
Well, that's some great advice and information. Other than DaveWeinbaum.com, where can people find you especially on the social media that you claim to love so much.
Well, thank you. My website is cooperstrategicgroup.com, amycooperhakim.com. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Amy Cooper Hakim. And my book, Working with Difficult People, is sold anywhere books are sold.
When are you gonna do another book?
So I have another book. I'm working on the final parts to it. It's about work-life balance, which is really a passion of mine. So.
Is it work-life balance? Did you say? Okay, cool. That's really cool. By the way, my other psychologist, she diagnosed me with multiple personalities. I was beside myself, and so was I. All right. Thank you so much. Shabbat shalom. Hi to the old man. Hi to the kids. All right. Always fun talking to you, Dr. Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. She's a hoot. Okay. Back on the show. We got commercials to do, don't we? All right. Let's do the next set of commercials. But before that, let's do something funny. Let's do Reagan.
I remember the story of the fella here a while ago who was running for Congress as a Republican. He stopped by a farm to do some campaigning, and when the farmer heard he was a Republican, his jaw dropped, and he said, "Wait right here." He said, "While I get Ma. She's never seen a Republican before." So he got Ma, and the candidate looked around for a podium to give his speech from. The only thing he could find was a pile of that stuff that Bess Truman took 35 years trying to get Harry to call fertilizer. So he got up on the mound, and when they came back, he gave his speech. End of it, the farmer says, "That's the first time I've ever heard a Republican speech." Candidate said, "That's the first time I've ever given a Republican speech from a Democratic platform."
This was a Democratic fundraising rally at a hotel. And outside, when all of them were coming out, there was a kid there with a bunch of puppies, and he was trying to sell them, and he was saying, "Come, buy a Democrat puppy, buy a Democrat puppy." 2 weeks later, the Republicans held a fundraiser in the same hall. And there was the same kid with the same puppies. When they were coming out, he was saying, "Buy a Republican puppy." Well, one of the press, a newspaper man who'd seen him 2 weeks before, said, "Hey, kid, wait a minute. 2 weeks ago, you were trying to sell these puppies as Democrats. What are you doing here now trying to sell them as Republicans?" The kid says, "Now they got their eyes open."
All right, let's go to commercial and spend your money where my people have given me money to do this show. Okay, hit it.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy, but also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
All right, we are back. My wife and I got a little break. Went down to the bar and we had a shot of whiskey.
Bottle of wine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. We got a message from Pastor Owen Maxwell. Pastor Pat, listening from San Antonio. Just now getting to tune in about 15 minutes ago. I sent a message, but it didn't go through. Hope this one does. As usual, the team is looking good, smelling good. How did she know that? No, sounding good. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I smell pretty good. I showered this morning. Did you?
I showered last night, and I put deodorant on this morning, and I brushed my teeth, so I'm on good track here.
You know, it's about damn time. Go team! Thank you. Pastor Pat, the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show. Okay, so in a couple of minutes, we're going to have a great guy, Bill Hardwick, who is the state rep, and he's a brilliant guy. He is every much a philosopher that he is an Army guy, and he's still in it. Let's listen to a couple clips. Let's do clip 2 and 3. This is from the Pfizer guy. Hit it.
Sounds like gain of function to me.
I don't know, it's a little bit different. I think it's different. It's like it's definitely not gain of function.
It sounds like it is. I mean, it's okay.
No, directed evolution is very different. Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to do gain of function research with the viruses. They recommend not. But you do these selected directional mutations to try to see if you can make more potent.
Yeah.
So there is research ongoing about that. I don't know how that's going to work. There might not be any more outbreaks, just like Jesus Christ.
the gentleman seems to have absolutely no moral compass at all.
I think a revolving door for all government officials. It's pretty good for the industry, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's bad for everyone else in America.
Why is it bad for everybody else?
Because if the regulators who have to approve our drugs know that once they stop being regulated, they want to go work for the company, they're not going to be as hard for the company. They're doing their job.
If this is the quality of individuals within Pfizer that are making these huge decisions that risk global public health, it's profoundly corrupt.
What is Pfizer doing, I guess, to optimize, the vaccines now?
Oh, we actually have a meeting about that today, so there's a lot.
Really?
They're doing, I don't know if I should say this.
Our undercover journalist asked Walker how Pfizer is handling the fact that their COVID vaccines are ineffective against virus variants. What he said is disturbing. Listen to this.
We're exploring, you know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we could create undeveloped develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're going to do that, though, there's a risk of, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating fucking viruses.
Yeah.
So we're like, do we want to do this? So that's, one of the things we're considering.
Okay.
The future, maybe we can, create new versions of the vaccines and things like that.
Okay, so Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID?
Well, that is not what we say to the public.
Huh. All right, now that's enough of that for a minute. We're running a little late, so I want to do this clip because I sent something to Candace Owens about this. She knows it's going to be on. She might just have liked it because I got a big response to it. Clip 11 and 12, please.
I think you have it exactly right. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of her, and I know that we've all been wondering who are they going to put up as a candidate. It's become very clear the media is dumping Joe Biden, right? Suddenly they're able to critique Hunter Biden's laptop. They're able to look at all of his corruption and things that they just were unwilling to do for the first 4 years of his presidency. So they're basically saying, we no longer have your back. Now we're saying that you do some bad stuff. And, maybe he's not just forgetful sometimes. Maybe he is, in fact, senile, and we're not going to have him forth as a candidate. It begs the question, which ism are they going to run on? This is what they do. You are correct. You have sexism, which I think people grew very tired of after Hillary Clinton. We get it. We all hate women. We're all misogynists, according to the left. And they ran Hillary and she didn't win. When they ran Biden, of course, it was racism. It was everybody is a racist. It was the COVID pandemic. You're right about these emergencies. But what I will say about Michelle Obama is I think she's smarter than to run on just race, because people forget this. But Obama was smarter than to run on just race the first time that he ran. The reason why she's talking about her menopause is she's making an Oprah appeal. She's appealing to suburban women because that's the group of individuals that Biden lost, right? So she thinks if she makes herself relatable to suburban women, and if she just remembers basic answers like what is your name, things that Joe Biden can't remember, what are your children's name, that she can get by because she knows that she'll have the full support of the media behind her. So I don't doubt that they are priming her to be the candidate because I don't know who else they have to put forth. She is a way stronger candidate, of course, than Joe Biden, who didn't even have to go to any rallies. He had a bunch of cars that were honking at him. It's definitely something to consider seriously. And I don't know what the point would be, I guess, just to pretend that things are changing. We know it's just a continuation of the Clinton administration to the Obamas to the Bidens. It's all the same, but I guess people believe that it's actually changed if they have a different person, and they'll just be relieved that they're not having to fight for Biden again and pretend that he's a legitimate president, and he obviously can't even hold a decent press conference or speak to the media.
All right, do we have a song for this, gentleman? How do we play that? You never did give us your old song. Till the end, but you got to sing. We are the champions. We are the champions. Missouri Rep of Waynesville, St. Robert, and Fort Leonard Wood. Is it 121?
It's 121 now.
All right. It was before, and then it was 122, and now it's back to 121.
Oh, that's right. It's 121.
What'd you do wrong? You lost one.
That's redistricting.
Okay. He's a lawyer, platoon leader in the Iraqi War. He's still in the Army. You're in the reserves. Is that correct?
I'm in the Missouri National Guard.
Missouri National Guard. He's a professor, philosopher. Please welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show, once again, Bill Hardwick.
Thank you, guys. Stop it.
Oh, stop. Yeah, all right.
They get rambunctious sometimes.
Pay him the fake money. I mean, no, pay him the real money and
give him the real
tell
money.
Them they can
time.
go now. Yes,
keep your audience under control.
Come back
please.
in a half an hour. We pay him by the second. We don't pay him by the minute. Even we pay him by the seconds.
Pay him by the clap.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
With the applause.
We can't talk about that on this show. Oh, the applause. I'm sorry. What are you kicking me for? Ow.
More money.
Yeah, you shouldn't be kicking me. What are you doing?
I'm adjusting my socks.
Oh, my God, why does this involve kicking me?
I get here and all order is broken down immediately.
No, it's terrible. It's a nightmare. Anyways, actually, she told me something really nasty, so I said, put a cork in it. So that's terrible.
Earlier in the show.
That was earlier in the show.
Where's the crickets?
I guess you had to be there. Oh, leave the crickets. How did you know about the crickets?
I've been on the show a few times.
This is not getting kicked off very well. Majority of. Oh, wait a minute. You had a blip to me last night. You didn't thought I saw it, did you? You sent me something.
No, people see stuff. They just ignore you. I know people see your text.
I was tired.
People see text.
I was tired. Okay,
no,
I was working all day promoting the show, promoting your appearance on this show,
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and so now he expects me to remember something you sent about. What was it, 9:30 or something like that?
It could have been. I had a long day yesterday. I got in late last night.
Okay.
Or later last night.
Where were you?
I was in committee all day yesterday.
Were you at the bar?
No, I was in committee.
Oh, it could have been the.
Yeah, I drove home from Jeff City.
It could have been the lawyer's bar.
Yeah, the Missouri bar.
Yeah, sure.
The American Honky Tonk Bar Association.
Yeah. So it says here that you helped stop gun control by the state.
We had a good argument yesterday in committee. We had a long committee hearing. It started at 8. We went on the floor.
Yeah.
The initiative petition came back. We were in committee till for more hours after that. And there were a couple provisions that some members suggested. One, the Secretary of State would have to license you to sell ammo to another person. Another one of my colleagues had an amendment that you had to be 21 to buy a rifle, to sell a rifle to you. There was a provision that you had to show a photo ID to buy ammo, which one of my colleagues pointed out that he had just learned in the legislature that it's discriminatory to require an ID, so we can't have that for ammo to do that. And then there was one about minors possessing a firearm on public property. And those are all provisions that different folks try to insert into the crime bill. And I argued against all of them and had amendments to take them out.
What's wrong with them?
What's wrong with all of them? Okay.
Yes. Tell us.
So what's wrong with them? So one thing wrong is there is a serious violence problem in St. Louis.
Yes.
That's what we're in the committee trying to address. We're trying to address the fact that people are being murdered, assaulted, robbed, carjacked in St. Louis. And in my opinion, part of the problem is that those people are not being held accountable for their actions.
Bingo.
Somebody kills another person, assaults another person, they should be held accountable. They're responsible. The pistol, the ammo, doesn't murder anybody.
Right.
Murder is caused by the human heart being overtaken with evil. So my problem is, why is every time we have and it's a serious problem, and that's why we're on the committee to address it. We need to address it. But why is when we have a problem, our first instinct is to take more freedom from people who aren't doing anything to anybody, who aren't killing people, who aren't assaulting people. They're law-abiding citizens. Why do we take more freedom from those folks? Why don't we address the problem? Why don't we hold people accountable for their actions? Why don't we talk about why people aren't being prosecuted? So that was an issue I had. Now, so the ammo part, why is that problematic? Okay, so if we went to the firing range and JP's over there and he's shooting and I go, here's a couple rounds of 9mm, right?
Yeah.
Did I just become a felon? Or what if you just said, hey, do you have any hunting? And I go, here's some ammo, if we're hunting, sure. I go, here's a round. See, that's ridiculous. People should be able to exchange ammo. The minor in possession.
Well, there's a political reason this is being done, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
There?
So, okay. That's a good point. So we did there was a school shooting in Missouri not too long ago, last year. Uvalde happened last year. And so the cry, the residents is, okay, we need gun control. That's the solution. Take guns away from people, restrict people's access to firearms. And that's kind of the Democrats' go-to. And by the way, there are some Democrat members of the legislature who I have a lot of respect for. They actually believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't agree with them, but they think this is right.
Right.
And I think they have respect for me. They don't agree what I say, but they know that I'm not saying what I'm saying for political purposes. I'm trying to think through what I believe in. But there are some members who are just saying things for political purposes on both sides too. They don't really believe what they're saying. But
well, it's even worse than that.
Yeah.
They have ulterior motives, some of them, which is what?
Tell me.
Well, they want to get the guns out of the hands of everybody but those in the neighborhoods that are having those murders, because we're a danger to them, to the ones not only in the neighborhood, but to the government. You see?
And that was a point I made, too. Somebody said, well, the police can have the guns. The National Guard can have the guns. And I said the Second Amendment's not for the police and National Guard. The Second Amendment's for the people.
Damn right.
To make sure the people aren't defenseless. Against their government, too. But just the people that aren't defenseless. People have a right to defend themselves.
Yeah.
The under 21 thing, I had a real problem with that. So you're telling me a 19-year-old woman who lives alone in the city can't buy a firearm to protect herself. You're telling me a 20-year-old young man who lives an hour from any police officer in rural Missouri in the country can't purchase a gun to protect himself. They're an adult. They could be living by themselves. I had a real problem with that. So, I argued against it, and those were basically some of the points I made. That even none of the examples they had of violence, none of those provisions would have addressed them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the point. The point was ideological, that we just don't like guns. We don't want people to have guns. But my point, I'm actually the inverse of that. I want people to have freedom.
Yeah.
And the whole conversation about crime and law enforcement is a balance between public safety and freedom. And I tend to err on the side of freedom. But I also make the point that the only way to make people safe isn't to take their freedom away.
Yeah.
There's other ways to ensure public safety besides taking freedom from people.
Maybe having police, maybe having DAs that aren't going to provide a rotating door in and out of jail.
Yeah. So we and I'll give you the inside baseball. So I'm on the crime prevention committee, and the heart of and the Republicans have different points of view on how to solve it. The AG does too. And just cut me off if you want to stop me. But the heart of it was that if there are so many homicides, the governor appoints a special prosecutor that would take away the jurisdiction of a prosecutor who's not prosecuting. In this case, that applied to Kim Gardner. Yeah. And it would remove, and based on the homicide rate in St. Louis, it would kind of remove her jurisdiction, and a new prosecutor could come in and prosecute homicides, quit prosecuting police, start accepting police's charges in St. Louis City.
Wait a minute. How would she be bypassed?
The governor, her jurisdiction would go away, and a special prosecutor would have jurisdiction.
The governor would have the ability to do that?
So what the latest compromise, it's a very fluid bill. The latest compromise is there's a panel that will recommend an attorney to the governor.
Wow.
And the governor will appoint a special prosecutor to replace her. So she was going to come in Monday to testify.
Is she going to have to give the money back to Soros? Seriously.
There's no defending her. She was going to come in and testify Monday.
She's getting money from George Soros.
Yeah.
Like the rest of them.
The problems there are many. So she was going to come in Monday to testify before our committee.
Yeah.
So I drove in, tried to beat the snow, came in early Monday morning to get ready for committee, didn't show up. Sent two assistants from her office, or two employees of her office, and said to testify. And we had a long conversation there about what the backlog is, how many cases, how many felonies.
Yeah.
And why isn't the prosecutor charging? And then I just said, hey, what is the breaking point? What's the breaking point where the police feel like they're more likely to get charged than the person they arrest,
exactly.
the gang member they arrest? There are homicides after homicide. The story of a 7-year-old kid who was shot, murdered. The person who shot the 7-year-old confessed to it. Charges weren't filed against him.
How does that happen?
That's what we said on the committee. Explain that to us. And kind of the answer is, well, St. Louis, is kind of its own thing. And I kind of said, no,
it's America, isn't it?
Well, we're all elected from different districts, from Rolla, from Waynesville, but to make the laws for the state. So we have to ask the question, why aren't people being prosecuted in St. Louis? So that was kind of the issue. But, of course, and I'm happy to have that conversation. It's a fair conversation. I'm just not going to pick gun control. I'm just not going to it's not acceptable to me to add gun control to that bill, especially, and a period, but especially stuff that's not actually addressing our problem.
What does racism have to do with this? Because it seems like there's a different set of rules wanted in black neighborhoods, maybe even Hispanic neighborhoods, than there are for everybody else. Why?
Well, I think you've heard my theory on it before, that conservatism is the opposite of racism. Because it doesn't matter to me what color skin you are, what your demographic is. You're an individual, and you're accountable for what you do. You're responsible for yourself, right?
Sure.
And I make decisions for me, and so that each person makes their own choices, has their own free will, and stands on their own merits, and bears the consequences for their own actions, their own character, and their own habits.
Right.
That's kind of an essential thread of conservatism itself, right? I don't think people are impelled to do things because they're black or white, or because of their skin color, or they're good or bad because of their race. And I don't think the government should treat people differently based on their race.
Right.
I think they could say, if you do this act, if you murder someone, here's the consequence. And the prosecutor should not consider your race. The jury should not consider your race. What the prosecutor should do is say, was the Constitution followed? Were your constitutional rights violated or not? Was is there proper evidence? Was there a warrant? Do we have the evidence? Do we have the forensic data? Am I confident you committed this crime? And can I prove it? And if the prosecutor can competently do that, then they should bring that person to justice. And if they determine, well, this person's innocent in that process, then they shouldn't charge him, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we should do. But it shouldn't. It doesn't matter if you have white, if you have lighter skin or you have darker skin. What matters is what you do and whether or not you were treated fairly under the Constitution.
Now, the irony of this is because we're having this conversation, some people will say, well, there's just a bunch of, white guys talking about this. We're white supremacists and all that. I feel bad that so many kids are killed in the black neighborhoods. And there's no way of stopping it if you don't have police there, if you don't have arrests and consequences to those who do it.
One of my colleagues on the committee, a brilliant attorney, he made the point that criminals and crime victims are from all different races.
Yes.
And the victims of crime are individuals who are white, individuals who are black. And the people who commit crimes are individuals who are white, individuals who are black. And as long as we're treating people fairly under the law, based on facts, not based on skin color, based on actions, not based on heritage, not based on who your parents were, but on what you decide to do with your life. That's the thing that we've lost. We've lost the idea that you're accountable. That to me, if you're not accountable, that's a foundational premise of the criminal justice system.
Sure.
That you make a decision, you're responsible for what you do. And if you're not, then why are we prosecuting people at all?
So you, a person from the country out here, and you're way out in the country.
I'm just a simple country lawyer.
No, I was born and bred in Chicago, and I recognize this problem. I'm communicating with a guy now who used to be on my football team.
Yeah.
His daughter has something to do with Black Lives Matter, and his ex, not his teacher, he used to teach this gal. He's a principal of a high school. He used to teach this gal. Now she's his representative, and she's trying to get reparations for Evanston, for the blacks in Evanston for bad real estate deals or something like that. And he's very, very liberal, and we've been like trading messages for the last month or so. It's pretty interesting.
I think dialogue's important.
Yeah.
I think
I could have a dialogue with this guy. We ain't going to agree.
Sure, that's right. But I think it's helpful for me to talk to people who think the exact opposite of me, because I want to challenge my ideas if they're wrong. And if I'm right about something, then why? If my ideas are well founded and thought out, then why am I afraid of somebody trying to oppose me?
Exactly.
Right?
Now that's my point of answering people on Twitter and or Facebook criticizing me, because fine, let's do the arguments then.
Right.
Let's go to the argument, and you give me yours, I'll give you mine. I give you why I don't agree with you. You give you.
I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to find what's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. My point is that, well, maybe they're right about this.
Sure.
I haven't seen much of that, but I'm always open to the suggestions of doing it a different way. But it hasn't swayed me. The Pfizer thing, the vaccines, we argued with others. Now, they weren't nasty or anything, but they didn't really totally agree with us. I thought one of them came forward and says, you weren't in on the argument with the rabbi. He was more he was more not objective than the lawyer. You know.
And I don't claim to know everything, but I know that I've seen enough and read enough,
Sure.
and I have enough evidence that I have my position right. But here's the thing.
Well, me too.
Nobody has given me evidence to the contrary.
Yeah.
The best response the government has given me, the CDC has given me, or whatever, or has given me is this said, "You're crazy, forget it." And I go, "Well, can you explain this? Can you explain why all these young men have heart problems?"
Yeah.
Oh, it's just normal. No, it's not. I mean, so
of course not.
Right, that's right.
Of course not, and that's your government telling you.
It's my government.
Why? That's why. You know what? We should never trust a government.
I was listening to a thing last night. I'm not going to remember the actual term that this guy used, but he's a cardiologist, and he explained how when somebody even younger gets the vaccine, it creates something in their body. It overproduces something. It causes their body to overproduce on a certain chemical. I don't remember the name of it, which can then cause heart attacks.
Yeah.
He said that's why you're seeing
young
this.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
He said under 20, or no, I'm wrong. Under 25 was the major group that was affected by this.
And they, you know, I've got this guy. Did you watch the Project Veritas?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
That Pfizer was working on gain of function, basically working on mutating the virus. You know, I did see the Babylon Bee that said Pfizer says their vaccine is 90% effective to virus they created or whatever.
It's bullshit. Who said that? I'm sorry.
Do we believe is this FCC?
No, thank God. Play clip 4 and 5 for Bill here, and let's talk about that a little bit.
Let's analyze whatever.
It appears that Pfizer is internally discussing the possibility of mutating the COVID virus themselves in order to tailor a vaccine to sell to the public. Listen to Walker describe in detail just how they would conduct such a scientific experiment. First, in living animals.
So the way that we're thinking about it, don't tell anyone this. You gotta probably don't tell anyone. You probably don't tell anyone. Okay, okay, bro. So the way it would work is like we put them in the virus in these monkeys.
Okay.
And then we successively cause them to keep infecting each other. And we collect serial samples from them, and then the ones that are more infectious, like the virus, we'll put them in another monkey and you just constantly actively mutate it. That's one way. Okay. Or you can even do directed simulation, which we tend not to prefer. And then you just sample what the different proteins on the surface of the virus look like over time. Okay. So then you can see the mutation, and you can kind of force it to mutate in a certain way you want it. Okay. But you have to be very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something it goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
Is the way that the virus started in Wuhan.
COVID virus experimentation on live monkeys? This is unethical, to say the least, and Walker describes those experiments as if they are ongoing and not simply a hypothetical discussion.
So, I mean, when is Pfizer going to implement the mutation of all these viruses?
I don't know. It depends on how the experiments work out, because this is just something that's fine, right?
It sounds like gain of function to me.
I don't know. It's a little bit different. I think it's different. It's it's definitely not gain of function.
Sounds like it is. I mean, it's okay.
No, directed evolution is very different.
Direct evolution?
Directed evolution.
Directed evolution, okay. Well, so, I mean, is that what it is?
Maybe. Well, you're not supposed to do gain of function research with the viruses. They recommend not. But you do these selected directional mutations to try to see if you can make more potent.
Yeah.
So there is research ongoing about that. I don't know how that's going to work. There better not be any more outbreaks to take Jesus Christ.
I mean, better not be any more outbreaks because of Jesus Christ.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
That's what happened in Wuhan?
Yeah. Yeah, and it got out. So what they want to do now, because it's been such a cash cow to them, is they want to be the ones that create the disease. Okay? And so while they're doing that, they're also creating the vaccine. So in other words, they're going to have the disease killing a bunch of people and have the vaccines that's going to solve some of them, but they don't know what they're doing. It's so corrupt. It's incredible.
And this is part of how Bill Gates made his fortune, because he helped to create computer viruses before there were any, and he already had the antivirus created, spread the virus, and then make people pay to get the antivirus.
He had a big chunk of Pfizer stock. He did. And since this started to come out now, He's been critical of Pfizer, and he sold most of his
dumped
stock.
his stock. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're living in like every sci-fi movie from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Like every like dystopian future
What
thing.
does the balloon in Montana remind you of? There was this...
Eric Stallwell. Reminds me of a 60s James Bond movie where the communists
here it
infiltrate
reminds me of those what was the Will Smith movie,
Enemy of the State,
where they had these huge things just sitting there, and all of a sudden they would start to attack. They weren't balloons, but they were big spaceships.
Yeah, I thought you were going with Hitch there.
No.
Is it? It's not I Am Legend, is it?
No, that's right.
No, it was 4th of July or something like that.
Yeah, Independence Day.
Independence Day.
Yeah. The aliens come down.
Yeah, the aliens are, but they're in. They discover the aliens, and then they find out that they're going to attack the world. And
at this point, that wouldn't surprise me at all. If that happened next week, I'd go, okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
because it's everything that people who we thought were, and I don't think any of us are crazy, but we thought they were like,
sure,
this is going to happen one day, and you're like, oh no, that'll never happen. All that stuff happened. That's what's wild about it.
Yeah, and the balloon. How do you explain the 3-bus balloon hovering over Montana, out of reach of any airplane in the world?
Yeah.
And how did they get there? And how do we not know about this?
It's weird.
How were they not surveilled by our great defense?
Well, I can't answer that question, Dave.
Well, you can't or you won't. I don't know.
They said it was just for research, and it just got away, so it's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
They've come out with that statement now.
Wow. Have they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just for research.
Just happened to be hanging over Montana there.
Yeah, we'll list people to see it. Yeah, no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, the way we know it's Chinese, they have eat at Wong's plastered on the balloon, Maybe it's like that. But that's incredible, and they really haven't come up with an explanation for it. Biden said he wanted to shoot him down, but then I guess the money gets cut off to Hunter. I don't know.
Yeah, talk about corruption.
Yeah. All right. So the majority of voters are told by the New York Post's Miranda Devine that Hunter was using the classified info that has been found in Joe's one place, because the other place he got a warning, basically, and that was his beach house.
Yeah,
and they'd say they didn't find anything really classified there, but there were some notes or something like that. Well, he had about a week to clean it out, didn't he?
Let me just try to remember all the things I was told in August of last year when they raided Donald Trump's house. I want to requote all those arguments back.
Bingo.
About president's not above the law, all those things, he's got to be held accountable.
Where were his lawyers? They were locked out.
Yeah.
Biden's lawyers are going through the documents.
Yeah.
They're not authorized to do that, are
they? The media
they?
is so quiet about it. But boy, man, and for a month there, it was like every 5 seconds was an update on how Donald Trump criminally had classified documents.
Yeah.
So
well, and then we had to argue with a guy that I saw that made a comment about how, it's different because Trump was hiding his and Biden immediately came out and said, hey, I've got these and all that. And I said, yeah, because he's had them for over 6 years since his vice presidency ended.
Actually, he's had them for longer. He has stuff from his Senate career.
I forgot about that. So,
okay.
But yeah, he was forthcoming. Right.
2000 and up. Or even longer than that.
So is he? Yeah. So Biden, you don't think he's going to be the nominee next year?
I think it's a coup right now because no Democrat is doing this to him.
No
Republican's doing it to him. It's all Democrats.
Yeah, the Republicans want Joe Biden on the ballot in 2024.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you who Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens say is going to replace
Michelle
Joe. Michelle Obama. Mooch.
It's possible. It's a very plausible hypothesis.
Yeah, well, you got him there. He's running it anyways. Obviously, they just can't. He was a terrible president, okay? He was a terrible president. He was the guy that came up with the concept of these, in Obamacare, of two militias that would be facing the American people, okay? That has evolved to the IRS having 80,000 more agents, all of them armed.
Yeah, that's right. No, our country changed during the 8 years of Barack Obama.
Well, that's what he said.
Yeah, transformed our country.
Did it. Yeah.
And nobody believes that Joe Biden is running the country.
I don't.
Nobody thinks he's running the show.
I don't think Joe Biden even thinks he's running the country. He has to ask for permission to talk to people and stuff. He had to ask the Easter Bunny Rabbit what to do.
Which way to go, yeah.
Yeah, and the Easter Bunny Rabbit actually let him away. Okay.
It's hard to follow somebody like that. It's hard to be led by somebody who can't speak for themselves and say where they're going to go. And you know what I mean? It's even the
There,
metaphor of it.
Look at it.
Oh, there's a balloon. I guess
over Miami.
Yeah.
Balloon over it's
Montana.
Montana, right?
All right.
Yeah, there it is. It's on
It's a
TV,
China
folks.
spy- it
We're
says
watching
China
TV.
spy balloon.
We're watching TV. We're supposed to be doing this show, but you can't help but look at this huge balloon out there, and it's tracking China balloon. Eat at Wong's. Here you go. Eat at Wong's on the surf. Did you see that? Did you miss that? Yeah.
That's no balloon. It's a space station.
Well, okay.
Star Wars.
Is that what you think?
No, I don't. No, it looks like the moon.
Well, you know about as much as we do, so what the hell? It might be.
I don't know anything. I just watch the news like you do.
So yeah, the problem with Biden in this situation is that he's causing a lot of damage, including the economy, and I mean just everything he does goes to hell. This new threat of war in the Ukraine and Russia,
yes,
where he's going to supply now tanks, offensive tanks,
right,
but not the planes. That might come later. But then we're going to have an effective like Vietnam, because you have to have people on the ground to train the people to do the tanks in Ukraine. Okay, maybe even in Russia now, where they might be going. So. The first one of those or two that get killed, what are we going to have? We're going to have a big escalation, and we're going to war.
It's definitely a threat. French Indochina is an analogy, like you just said.
Yeah.
But World War I is also a pretty good analogy, where you had these really strong alliances. You had national interests clashing, and then there was entanglement of a few countries. But because they had these strong alliances with other countries, that sucked them into the war. And we have NATO now, which Article 5 says if any member is attacked, it's an attack on all the members, and they can invoke Article 5 and say, "Come to our aid." And we've had some situations during the Ukraine war that some people in those countries thought activated Article 5. It's just the rest of the NATO countries have been like, we don't quite want to do that,
Well, it sounds to me like they're all kind of declaring war now.
Well, when you start, so that's what we were doing during World War I. We were sending arms.
Yeah.
To the Allied powers, right,
against
the Central Powers during World War I. Or we were sending arms, and then we kind of got sucked into it, right? The Lusitania got sank in the Atlantic, and then the American fervor was like, no, this can't stand, and political will kind of built up, and then Woodrow Wilson sent troops to Europe, right? That's kind of what happened. And that's a very plausible scenario for what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
That people are going to die, Allied countries are going to lose soldiers, we're going to send weapons in, our supply. Eventually the Russians will attack the supply lanes from America or whatever NATO countries to Ukraine.
Yeah, they're going to attack the tanks coming overseas.
Yeah, they'll back it up.
Exactly.
And they'll go,
then what do we do?
Then what do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's headed
dangerous.
right there. It's a one-way street to war, sounds to me.
Yeah, and I think we need to figure out a way to not go into war. I think we need to figure out a way to not get, if we can, we need to figure out a way to keep American troops from having a conventional fight in Ukraine.
I would agree. I don't want my kids going there.
That goes bad real fast.
Yeah.
The lethality, even conventional lethality of countries is bigger than ever before. But there's a reason why no nuclear country has ever invaded a nuclear country. Because at some point it gets to the point where the nuclear country goes, well, I've lost 100,000 people, 200,000 people. I can't let this keep going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And they use nuclear weapons. And we don't want that to happen either.
Well, it sounds like we're headed there, and it's all because a lot of it is because of Joe Biden and the Afghan and how he handled Afghanistan. Bagram Air Base, what is it, $85 billion of the latest American equipment going to basically anyone who wants it, China,
still hurts. Afghanistan
Russia.
Still hurts. 20 years of our friends, people from this community, going over there, getting killed, having their friends killed, having their husbands come back with injuries, being wounded. 20 years of that.
And he gave that up.
And then for us just to completely – I mean, I'm not saying we should stay in Afghanistan forever, but we definitely should have just turned it over and all that weaponry over to the Taliban like that. That was the wrong answer.
All right, I see a stunning face on my little board here. You want to hang out for a while? You want to hang out with Chris Adamo?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
All right, play his song, please.
It's Jurassic Park. No, it's not. That's Air Force One. What is that?
Lifelong conservative, Wyoming politics, pizza lover, knows who Liz Cheney is, but the rumors of them having a relationship are false. He's the author of Rules for Defeating Radicals. You might want to hold that up, please. Star of TV, radio, and podcast. Please welcome, I'm not sure where the hell he is, but please welcome Chris Adamo. And Chris, I'm here with Bill Hardwick. I don't know if you can see him or not, but yes, we're holding his.
Hello, Bill.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
We're blocking Mr. Hardwick with your book.
Well, we can barely see him back there, but we know he's there.
All right, we know he's there. He might interject every once in a while.
Great work you do. Yeah, I'd love to talk.
All right.
A little bit into...
What effect has the Freedom Caucus had
I got a whole page. I wrote my notes this morning to have a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Yeah?
There is a huge amount going on.
You didn't let me finish the question.
I know. I never do. Go ahead.
What effect has my jokes and everything? You always got to cut in.
Your jokes are different. That one I feel justified.
Yeah, okay. What effect has the Freedom Caucus had on Kevin McCarthy's initial message to the USA?
I really want to talk about this because it's huge. The things that we're seeing happen are huge, and I just want to give you just a little side by side to understand the sea change in the House of Representatives ever since the Freedom Caucus did their horrible deed that everybody condemned, and yet we're seeing McCarthy acting like a Republican. And yes, we're seeing the left in a total meltdown about it.
Yeah.
But look at the fact that he got up this week and got Swalwell and Schiff off of a committee that was sensitive to national security.
Yeah.
These guys are traitors. These guys are leakers. They're spies for the enemy. They're totally compromised. They should never have been on there. And he got them off of there. And I will tell you, I'm convinced that he never would have taken on such a controversial issue had it not been for
they made him
battle that he went through getting to be speaker.
I think you're right. What do you think? Do you think he's right on there?
No, I think that's correct. I think the Freedom Caucus has anchored Kevin McCarthy with the conservative base,
and he needs that. He's looking really good for it, and I think he's getting a lot of respect from some of the Democrats too.
And let's hope he really means it. But at the very least, it teaches a lesson to our side that. Ever since I could go back to the 1992 presidential election, and I remember when Ross Perot ran as a third party, they said, "Oh, he's always going to take, the third party is always going to take votes away from the incumbent."
Right.
Well, that's not true. The third party takes votes away from the guy who stands for the least. And sadly, in 1992, that was George Bush Sr. Because in 1996, Bill Clinton was the incumbent. Ross Perot ran again, and he took votes away from Bob Dole.
Yeah.
So if we could just get through our heads that when you stand in stark contrast to the opposition, forget the fact that the media is having a tantrum about it. If you're a staunch conservative and the general public can see that, they see what you stand for as opposed to what they stand for, we can win. It's only when we start muddling the lines and trying to reach across the aisle and trying to sit the fence and let's have collegiality that we start really losing.
Did you see the reaction of the squids? I mean, the squad that got.
I love
my squids. God, they just went crazy.
And you know what?
There.
If we had the backbone,
that was wonderful.
Absolutely
wonderful.
They are advertising, they're campaigning for our side when they do that. If we could just get that through our heads, okay, they're having a fit, good, let them talk, let people listen to them, and the more they do that, if we stand fast and say, yeah, we know they hate us, and here's who they are, and here's why they hate us. The louder they scream, the more good publicity we get. Okay, now let's contrast with this with what happened in the Senate this week.
Okay, what happened?
Okay, minority leader, so-called Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
He booted a couple of Republicans off of committees. Okay,
Did he?
Off of a committee. And who did he boot? He booted staunch conservatives Rick Scott and Mike Lee. And he didn't do it because he wanted to improve the committees or because he wanted to stop the opposition from infiltrating the committees with bad people. He did it because they didn't support him as minority leader. He did it vindictively. So in contrast to Kevin McCarthy strengthening the Republican position in the House of Representatives because of that big fight that everybody was so fearful and hysterical about, Mitch McConnell just slid right in there as minority leader in the Senate. And what is he doing? Rhino business as usual. And who's it hurting? It's hurting real conservatism.
Well, where's Cruz? Where's Hawley?
They're not as loud as they should be. Maybe they're afraid of getting booted too. But at this point, what we ought to be all doing is loudly taking a stand and saying, which side of this are you on?
That's interesting because that didn't really play up in the news.
Oh, no, it didn't. But that's huge. That is
huge.
That is the establishment, the good old boys club, looking out for itself by trashing conservatives.
Exactly. And trashing Donald Trump. That's what Mitch is famous for.
Exactly what's behind all
Exactly.
this.
So how does this compare to state Republicans around the country? Like, Bill's a state rep here. You're an expert on Wyoming, and both know about Arizona.
Bill and I need to do some more talking because I have to get up to date on what's going on in Missouri.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
We just talked about
area.
he is head of the committee for guns.
Actually, I'm the chairman of the Emerging Issues Committee, but I sit on the Crime Prevention Committee.
So he just may have saved the Second Amendment for the state of Missouri because he convinced
them. Appreciate that. And again, we don't go out to deliberately be outrageous like AOC and try and make people mad. Right. And I'll quote the scripture that where the Apostle Paul says, as much as is possible, be at peace with all people. However, sometimes it ain't possible.
That's right.
And so what you do is you go out and you take the stand, and there are those occasions when you take the stand and people get mad. Now, you can hold my book up if you want, but you have two options when that happens is when they get mad, the enemy attacks you, you back down and apologize. And what you've just done is validated the attack. Mm-hmm. And that's how Alinsky rolls over us and has done so for half a century. Or you can take the attack and, Bill Hardwick wants to see children get killed in schools by guns.
Yeah.
Take that attack and actually tie it back to the truth and say, here's what I'm really doing. Here's what they're really doing.
Yeah.
And now that attack becomes an actual, it's an advertisement for you because you're able to show the contrast between yourself as a pro-Constitution American versus these gun-grabbing Democrats,
which we were just talking about, is arguing it in such a way as to figure out what the true motives of both sides are.
Right.
Okay. And in his case, he says, well, there are a lot of Democrats who really believe this, but there's also a lot of them. They're just going along with the program, knowing they're wrong.
And that both people, we in our prayer closet at home, we can hope for the ones that are actually duped that their eyes will be open, but they're in the enemy's camp right now. And what we've got to do in these circumstances is not let them claw their way, as Democrats always do, as leftists always do. They claw their way onto their phony moral high ground. Let me give you a great example this week. Back to the meltdown that AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and all of them are having over those committees. They're saying now this, forget the fact that these people were venomous anti-Semites, that these people are the antithesis of everything American that we should want to be. This is because McCarthy is bigoted. Okay, somehow they're going to work things like that into it so they can be the righteous ones who have been victimized by this mean person instead of dealing in facts.
Right. Okay. So Newsmax was dropped. I guess Dick Morris doesn't have a show. He might have a show, but It's not going to be played on. It's dropped by DirecTV.
Yep.
AT&T. Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry.
It's dropped by AT&T, who owns DirecTV.
Right, and they're afraid of the truth.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
the
not
enemy,
afraid of the truth. They're trying to counter it with other things, like CNNs and things like that. They're trying to stifle the truth.
Well, if you look at every dictatorship in history, the idea that they have control of everything in government, they have control of media and stuff, they can't handle the guy on the street corner holding up a sign.
Yeah.
Because if their agenda is built on lies, one shred of truth out there, it's like you're in a darkened room, huge darkened room, and you put stuff over the outside, you pile dirt on it and everything, keep it darker and darker. One guy inside with a cigarette lighter illuminates it. They can't handle that.
Yeah,
that's what this whole big tech censorship is all about.
The truth isn't afraid of the lie, but the lie is afraid of the truth.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Excellently stated.
Very good. See, a philosopher, this guy. So let's see here.
Let me, if I can, just real quickly go back to the conversation
seems
you
like
guys were
the
having
Patriots,
right before I got on.
Seems like the Patriots are surrounded by rhinos and Marxists, and we the people support the Patriots in this squeeze. So we're surrounded by them, but we got to stand up and fight both sides. Basically, we got to fight the rhinos and the Marxists.
I would only quibble with you over that being both sides. They're on the same team. And that's something that I always go back and repeat the fact.
Talking about the rhinos and the Marxists are on the same
Donald
team?
Trump.
The rhinos and the Marxists are on the same team.
They're on the same team.
Okay.
Donald Trump's biggest accomplishment in his entire first term as president, his biggest accomplishment was to unmask the rhinos, because they have operated, they have infiltrated and cut us off at the knees for decades. And they've always had an excuse. You know, the Democrats, when their people get in power, they have accomplishments and achievements. When the Republicans get in power, the first thing they try to do is come up with all kinds of excuses why they can't do anything. Remember John Boehner, when he got the House, he got to be Speaker. His first thing is, we're only 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. Sorry, guys, we can't do anything. Eventually, we were both halves of all of the government, and somehow we still couldn't build the wall. Why?
Yeah.
Because the rhinos never really wanted to.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it was a show. No, that's right. I think he revealed how much of the political establishment had just formed its own little ecosystem, and it was divested from the interests of the people and what the voters wanted and what the folks back in the states wanted. And I think that's entirely true. And that Donald Trump revealed that. I'm just kind of thinking through the whole process of it, that, you know, if you stand your ground and you actually stand for something and you dig your heels in, you do make a difference.
Yeah.
Whatever environment you're in has to react to that. But if you capitulate on everything, and I'm not saying you should never compromise and go, okay, how about we deal make? But but if you have no principles with which you will never capitulate on, then you're not doing anything. You're not making any difference at all.
Yeah.
There's a dividing line. What you just mentioned there. If you and I are debating over, you know, we do need a tax increase because we have a project we have to do, whether it's funding the military or come up with something. But we and you and I are going to talk, and you believe it should be a 2%, and I believe it should be a 1%. We can compromise on that. Yeah. But if they're misspending money, and the goal should be to get the misspent money stopped and to work within our budget, and at that point, if you're pushing for a tax increase and I'm saying no, we can't, at that point, there's no room for compromise. And this is another one of the great examples of how they get us on this is we accept their premise, and it's a bogus premise. We're not going to go quite as far. I remember, again, during the Boehner Congress, it's like the Republican mantra, the National Republican slogan should have been, we're not quite as bad as the Democrats, so vote for us.
Yeah.
And we wonder why we lose in cases like
no kidding. Yeah, I'll compromise, but I'm not compromising on the Constitution. I'm not compromising on the Bill of Rights. Yeah. I'm not compromising on life, on abortion.
Well, and that's
I'm not compromising on our liberty.
That's where Trump separated himself. Trump separated himself from the other 16 who were running in the Republican side, and he had a great division to do it because he was an American first guy. He wasn't a government guy. He was a businessman focused on America. And that there was a big difference between him and the rest of the politicians. That's why they wanted to get rid of him. Both sides.
Absolutely right, Dave. You're absolutely right. I'll tell you something else he wasn't. He wasn't Republican business as usual, because that is the biggest enemy we face. If we stand on those things. I'll give you another example. Government shutdown. Who gets the blame for a government shutdown? The side that capitulates. Yeah. And that's always what happens. Now, the Republican Party will tell you, well, the Republicans always get blamed for the shutdown. Well, that's because the Republicans always capitulate. But the one time when Trump was in there and he started calling it the Schumer shutdown, and the Democrats capitulated, and it was, okay, why did you guys do this in the first place? And that's what always gets flung onto the side that capitulates. If you're going to cave in, why didn't you do that before we had the shutdown?
Yeah.
And yet we're under this mistaken impression that it's the Republicans are going to get blamed, so we better capitulate, and we make it happen.
Yeah, that should never be a reason to do something.
You're absolutely right.
Ever. I mean, you stand on legitimate ground. It's like, if you go with the flow, you don't know you don't know where the waterfalls are. Okay, you got to know what's going down river there, and or the sewers for that matter. So
you're a follower, not a leader at that point. And yeah, there are times when we all have to agree to come together. But when we abandon our principle to do it, like you were just saying there, when we abandon the principles to do it, then the agenda becomes the thing that we actually hold in the highest regard. And you will hear that, particularly from the entrenched rhinos, is, well, we got to get something done. No, we don't. If everything they want to get done is bad for the country, we've got to stop anything from being done.
Sure.
No, I think that's great. I think that's great.
You got any questions for Chris?
No, you want to talk about 2024?
Yeah, let's talk about 2024. Who's running?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you first.
Okay, I keep hearing back and forth that DeSantis is going to jump in. He's the only one that could possibly be any kind of a game changer, because the rest of them, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, the rest of them, what they are is they're living proof that some people are stuck in that mire of establishment mental numbness. I mean, if Pence thinks that he's going to get any more votes than Jeb Bush did, he's delusional.
Yeah.
And the one person that's got a track record that people like is Ron DeSantis. I'm hoping that DeSantis does one of two things. I'm hoping he either waits until 2028 to run after Trump can have his proper second term that he should have had, or maybe he'd be the vice presidential running mate, because a Trump-DeSantis ticket would be unstoppable except for the cheating.
Well, what's your opinion about that?
Yes, the last thought about that the Democrats had cracked the code on finding 5,000 ballots, this precinct or whatever, that's a serious problem, and ballot harvesting in Arizona, like we saw. Yep. Just reflecting on the time period that Donald Trump was in the White House, where you had a president who put the American people first, who loved our country, who was doing what he was doing, not because he had a political agenda, but because he cared about the country. That felt really good. And it'd also be nice to see Donald Trump vindicated for what happened in 2020. But I think DeSantis did great in Florida. He showed every Republican governor, every Republican, just like you were saying, you could stand for something boldly. You could stand for something boldly, and it's going to resonate with the people and give them a clear contrast. Yeah. And that's a way better formula. He did way better in Florida than a lot of Republicans did around the country, kind of the point you're making as well.
Yeah, and but I don't. You know what? I don't think he's ready for prime time. I think he needs a little bit of, to your point, maybe a vice presidential gear for him. But he's got his. I mean, Trump's got stuff on him. He identified with, who was the other guy that was a Speaker of the House? Was that it was Boehner and then another Republican.
Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan. He identifies with Paul Ryan. He said, he's quoted as saying, "I want to be a guy just like Paul Ryan." He's another.
DeSantis said that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so there are other things that are going to come out about him.
Yeah.
I think he could do it. I'm not sure about him and Trump being from Florida is a good idea because
divide the Florida electors.
They can't do that.
Yeah. They can't forfeit Florida.
This one thing as a caveat here. I think DeSantis is doing a wonderful job in Florida. If he did end up as the nominee, yeah, I would absolutely support him.
Oh, me too.
But I don't see that happening. And of course, I don't know if you remember, but when George Bush Jr. decided to pick Dick Cheney as a running mate back in 2000, first thing Dick Cheney did the day before he was picked was he bought a house in Jackson, Wyoming, and changed his state residency, and so they get around that constitutional thing, and so they would try something like that, I'm sure, but because Trump could just change his residence to state residence to Trump Tower,
or Missouri,
or Missouri. Which that wouldn't be so bad.
Well, I mean, Trump is not going to win New York probably. If you can, in case you didn't know this, okay. But I see it as Trump. Now, who would Trump pick as a vice president other than DeSantis?
I will tell you one thing he won't do this time is he won't listen to the same group of advisors that say pick a good mainstream, non-controversial, likable guy like Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that lose elections for the GOP.
What about a woman? He might be facing a woman in Michelle Obama. We were discussing that beforehand because the Democrats are
conversation to a whole different tangent.
Well, the Democrats are dumping. The Democrats are doing all this stuff to Biden, and they got to be doing it for a reason. They're dumping him. And now you got Michelle.
Situation.
You got Michelle talking to people, talking to news outlets, doing interviews, and all of a sudden it looks like to me, she's complaining about going through menopause. It's like she's becoming her inner self with women her age, 61. My wife is 31, so she would know nothing about this. So, what are you looking at me like that for? That was a compliment, honey.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Got away with one. I don't have to have my tires rotated. She's good at rotating my tires. No, don't do it again. Don't do it again. Okay, what other questions do you have about the election, 2024?
What? I mean,
if I can sidetrack for just a second to what Bill was saying there earlier, this whole situation with Ukraine and Russia. First of all, this is not the Cold War. We need to ask ourselves before we get into a war, what do we actually have to gain by it? And secondly, and you've probably seen the news about this Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
And our response is absolutely weak. What was our response to Afghanistan? It was absolutely weak.
Terrible.
It's like we're begging. It's like, I say we. It's like the Biden cabal, and I don't think Joe even has a clue that this is all going on. They're begging for us to be vulnerable enough to be attacked. I mean, they can't. I can't see any way that they could do more to harm the country.
Or they're compromised.
If they were doing it on purpose.
They're doing it on purpose. They have to.
Yeah.
This border thing didn't happen because somebody didn't want to do it. This is obviously intentful. They wanted it this
absolutely
way.
Intentional. And again, whenever we try to deal with these things, and they were real successful with this whole thing when Trump was trying to seal the border. And do you remember what their excuse was? Now look at the trillions that they dumped out.
Oh, yeah, that's bad for the children.
Program.
You're caging children. Oh,
well, there
my
was
God.
the caging children. You're right. So they're on the moral high ground. There they are on their phony moral high ground because you're caging children, even though it was an Obama policy. The other thing was $5 billion to secure the border when we've dumped hundreds of billions in every ridiculous direction that they can think of. They were all deficit hawks, and they would do it with straight faces. And the Republicans would, instead of calling them out for being a bunch of blazing liars, the Republicans would try to discuss, well, maybe we can cut the spending here or there, legitimizing the premise that the deficit was the problem. And the whole intent was to keep the border hemorrhaging the way it's been.
Well, Jim Jordan now has Majorca in his sights, and he claims he's going to impeach him. Which is a good first step, I think.
Absolutely,
because it puts the Democrats.
The Democrats won't vote for it, but you impeach him, and then you take names.
Yeah,
who is it that supported this guy?
Exactly, because the Democrats might be thinking this is too obvious. I think a lot of Democrats are getting a little concerned in the Senate about supporting an open border in where it is right now. Aren't you, Bill?
I think it's not just a political liability; it's a huge national security liability.
Oh yeah.
I think even if you had whatever political reason for saying we should have no border on the southern part of the United States, you can see now how much devastation that's causing for our country, and how much of a human rights crisis it is.
And I thought it was smart to send these so-called legal aliens. They're not really legal; they're illegal aliens to all these other cities in the Northeast, to the island out Martha's Vineyard, to New York. Now they're having huge problems in New York with them destroying hotels. We're all paying for this too.
And that was a great example of DeSantis doing the Trump thing. I can tell you that back before Trump was president, nobody would have had the guts to do that.
Do something like that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I remember the White House Correspondents' Dinner for decades. That it would be a love fest for a Democrat president, and it would be an absolute skewering of any Republican president. But they felt like they had to go because their establishment told them that they had to. And so they went there and they just suffered humiliation, abuse, lies, everything. And Trump just said no. And oh my gosh, he's messing up the protocol. He's doing all this stuff. And he just shut the thing down is what he did because he stood.
I got a message from Patricia Oden Maxwell. Thank you, Chris, for your words about standing for what you believe, no matter what is offered to you to do otherwise. That was an awesome word.
Well, I thank you, Patricia. And if you don't have my book, I will tell you that rule number one for defeating radicals, rule number one, and if we don't get this one right, all the rest of it just falls apart. Rule number one is you never apologize unless you've actually done something wrong. Because if you apologize for doing the right thing, you validated the accusation against it.
You got it. All right. You got anything else?
No, I've done that before. I'm really sorry about that.
All right.
I should have done it.
What's that?
Nothing. I was just joking.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this is like running a three-person circus, especially with JP in there and my wife now. So we got 2.5 minutes to go. So you guys free? Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I would like to point out that back to the weakness in that Chinese balloon there, that the people, the Defense Department, and everybody is talking about the balloon. They're saying, well, China says it's a weather balloon. We don't think so, but we're not going to worry about it. We don't think it's too dangerous to us. These are the same people that will turn around and point to people like you and me and say we're terrorists that they have to worry about. So whose side are they really on, and who do they really regard as their enemy? And that is something that we better understand about this cabal back in Washington, and that's both the Democrats who are at the center of it, and the rhinos who try to defend it and say reach across the aisle to it.
Yeah, this white supremacy accusation burns me up.
Yep.
And it's incredible, what they say about Jews and about Israel. Especially when Jesus lived as a Jew and died as a Jew and obeyed all the commandments.
I tell people unhesitatingly that go seek the Jewish Messiah, and absolutely, he was right above his cross. It said Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. So there is nothing in there. There's nothing Christian about attacking Israel and attacking the Jewish race.
You got that right.
I will qualify that with the fact that Jewish leftists are just as off base and anti-American and everything else as whatever you want to call them, Gentile leftists. And also that anti-white thing that you're talking about, that comes from white liberals, and it's not racist. It's against our Judeo-Christian foundations of our nation.
Right.
That's what they're really aiming at.
And a lot of them
because
call
if
themselves...
If you're a black conservative, they're going to attack you the same way.
A lot of them identify as Antifa. You know, they're spoiled rich white kids.
Right.
And
Antifa, by the
way,
listen
to me. Listen, I got
their hypocrisy.
Okay, got 18 seconds left. Okay, so I want to thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everybody for listening to the Dave Weinbaum Show. I'll be back with another. Thank you.